Hello out there and welcome to the Play the Game podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We have an outstanding show for you guys today. We have none other than Eric Crandall, who is the longtime manager of San Diego Dynasty and has seen them through it all. From the heyday to right now, he's been with Dynasty every step of the way. Also one of the owners in Field One Paintball and just an amazing paintball patron who absolutely loves paintball and is doing great things in the sport with Field One Paintball and obviously with Dynasty and helping us be as successful as we can be. So please enjoy this show. It's going to be a great one. We go the distance and get a lot of great details on the lineage of Dynasty and Field One Paintball, and we can't wait to share that with you. This show is brought to you by G2 Paintball. It's a paintball athletics company that is actually out of Arizona, and it was started by Victor Gamboa and Rusty Glaze, and they're doing tremendous things in the paintball landscape. There's actually going to be the 2021 Paintball Combine in Phoenix Saturday and Sunday of January 30th and the 31st. So definitely tap in and go to paintballcombine.com to register for that. Out here in Phoenix, they're going to be having the Combine, which is normally in Florida, but they have moved it over to Phoenix because the BKI crew has teamed up with G2 Paintball to bring you the best training that you possibly can get. They're also going to have a Combine in Boston Saturday, January 9th. So check that out at paintballcombine.com. And G2 Paintball is just doing amazing things. Dynasty uses the tactics that they use. It's training for paintball specific movements, and not only that, but also the skills aspects of paintball and the strategies that we implement to make us the best team in the world. We want to make sure that we are on top of the game and dictating the game, controlling the game, and definitely, giving yourself the best chance you can to win tournaments. So head over to g2paintball.com, give them a look, and take that paintball athleticism to the next level. And be sure to also, like I said, check out the paintballcombine.com to get dialed in for that combine that G2 is doing with BKI in Phoenix. It's going to be amazing. There's a lot of us that are involved with that, so we can't wait to see you guys out there. This show is also brought to you by Transfuse. Transfuse is amazing. You've heard us talk about it till we're blue in the face. Absolutely love this stuff. It is a hydration multiplier and immunity fortifying formula that is designed to replenish you at the cellular level, and they use all natural ingredients, which is amazing. I won't let it be in my regimen if it's not good for me. So the fact that they're using the all natural ingredients and helping me to stay hydrated and combat dehydration, mental exhaustion, boost my immune system, and just keep me pumped and ready to go for life, especially in this day and age with everything that's going on with COVID. We got to make sure that our immune system is at full tilt, and they have some amazing stuff in the formula of Transfuse that helps to combat with you getting sick. There's zinc, which is an essential vitamin in regulating your immunity, treating the common colds, and it improves brain function and memory. There's also 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C, and it is something that's kind of like if you took Gatorade, Pedialyte, coconut water, and Emergency, and that formula had a baby, it would still not compare to the things that are in Transfuse. Transfuse is just a full body boost, a brain boost, and is going to keep you charged through these holidays and through the cold and flu season. So definitely head on over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. And if you use code PLAYTHEGAME, you will get a 10% discount over there. So head over there and check them out. See if it's right for you. It has been a game changer for my hydration and my gameplay. I've used it through World Cup. I used it at the Pro Tour. And it has absolutely kept me able to charge and win. You know what I mean? It's an amazing formula that really has a profound effect on my athleticism on the field. They also have sodium and potassium and choline in the formula. I forgot to add that. But there's just so much that goes into what they're putting out in these products, and they really, truly care about giving you the best formula, all natural ingredients. So head on over, use code PLAYTHEGAME at translabs.com and take advantage of that. Also, if you subscribe to a monthly service, you get another 10% off. So you could take advantage of 20% off at translabs.com if you use code PLAYTHEGAME and you subscribe to a monthly service. So go check them out. Really great guys, and they're doing amazing things. Be on the lookout for all the stuff they have coming out in 2021. And finally, last but not least, this show is brought to you by Brand CBD, which is a CBD powerhouse we've partnered up with. They have amazing products that have nanotechnology, which is really cool stuff. It is taking that raw hemp oil, putting it through an additional refinement process to break up the large CBD particles into microscopic CBD greatness that can more easily pass through your cellular walls. Most CBDs take at least a couple days to really start to circulate into the system and for you to feel the effects, whereas nano CBD, as soon as you take it, within the next 15, 20 minutes, you are going to feel that calming effect of the CBD, and you're going to be able to implement it into your sleep regimen. If you're using it to, feel better after workouts or anything like that, they have creams that you can use for muscle creams. There's also a nano knockout sleep aid that has nano hemp in it, has melatonin. They have a boost energy shot that can get you pepped up in the morning as well. And they're really doing cool stuff in the paintball landscape. I know in 2021 they're going to be having, hopefully we're going to have a booth out there where they can showcase the products that they have. And they even make CBD for your pets and your little friends. So if your animals need some CBD to help them with any ailments that they might have, they have all of that available for you at healbrand.com. So you can go over to healbrand.com, and if you use code PLAYTHEGAME, you get 10% off over there. And they're trying to heal the world, and everyone deserves the opportunity to heal, and we want to help them on their mission with that. So head over to healbrand.com, give them a look, and support the people that support PTG and the Play the Game podcast. We're so grateful for all of our amazing sponsors and for all of you guys that listen to us day in and day out there. We just passed the 50 show mark, which we're super proud of, and we can't wait to keep bringing you guys great shows with great people like Eric Crandall. So without further ado, let's get into the Dynasty heritage with Eric Crandall.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
Came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Crandall. Yeah, dude,
Yo.
we got him on the show. Eric Crandall, one of the founding fathers of Dynasty, and has been with them every step of the way through success. One of the owners of Field One Paintball. Amazing father and amazing all-around dude. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Cran. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Good to be here.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah,
So what's been going on in the Bay Area? Let people know where you're tapping in from.
We are coming to you live from San Rafael, California, in Marin County, just north of San Francisco. So this has been home for a long time for me.
Yeah,
that's where Field One calls home. So I'm
that's right.
wrapping up a week at the office.
There we go, dude. Another successful week for Field One. You guys have been crushing it with had a ton of success throughout the year with all these signature series guns, and you dropped the Galaxy gun not too long ago, and just been really all in with that, which has been a huge undertaking. I mean, you guys, have never built paintball guns before in your life, and you're doing it pretty damn well. So definitely kudos to you guys on that.
Yeah, it's been a process, been an experience, but we're figuring it out. One of these years we may get it right.
Dude, you did it.
From the very first year, 2017, you guys bought Bob Long, took it over. We won in Vegas,
Yeah.
Renamed as Field One. And then here we are, World Cup champs. And actually the Dynasty 20th year anniversary gun came out really dope. I just got tagged in a photo on Instagram. That thing is really clean.
Yeah, that was a nice thing. It was obviously the team's 20th year pro, which was a big deal, and nice to do a little something special.
Yeah. So how crazy is it that it's 2020, 20th anniversary? You guys made 20 of those guns, I think, right? And you are like the cornerstone of Dynasty. Let's just let that be known first and foremost.
Godfather right here.
Godfather of Dynasty. So a lot of people don't even know probably who you are, Eric, and you have had such a tremendous impact in this game, more so than anybody will probably ever know. Hopefully we can scratch the surface with your lineage here today, but dude, it's been a ride, obviously, and you've seen everything being a part of the early years of Dynasty and all their success. So when did you start in the game? Like, what was the very first year you got into paintball?
So I probably started playing paintball 90, 91.
Whoa, no
so
way.
yeah, you guys weren't even born yet.
I was 2 years
I
old.
was born in 90. Come on, man. That's the year I was born. Why you gotta haze me like that?
So yeah, me and one of my friends, we took a bus ride up to the paintball store about an hour away and checked it out, and then we ended up buying. I think he got a PGP, which was a little pump action that took us 12 gram and a little 10 rounds up top, and I got a GZ 1000, which was sort of like a Splatmaster. It had the cock and back, but it had direct feed, so you could stick a tube straight in it, so I could reload way faster than he could. And I was a little more air efficient with that 12 gram, so I was pretty stoked on my GZ.
Real quick, before we totally dive into how you started, I gotta say, Dynasty is hands down the most influential team to ever play the game of paintball. That's not even an argument. It's not a question, and I don't think in anybody's mind, right? Dynasty is the golden, staple up there, the golden dragon,
the golden goose. Baby.
It's who I looked up to growing up. I know Tyler is the same way growing up, and we've had, obviously we've had Alex and Yosh and Ryan on the show, and they've everyone tells a story. But you are the founding father of this team. So, when Tyler was saying you've had such an impact on the paintball community, when you look at Dynasty being the most influential team to ever brace a paintball field, that's because of you. And so, yeah, people don't really know. And that's why I'm so excited. I know Tyler is too. We were on the phone for a while before we went live here, and we were just stoked that we got a chance to actually sit down and share, your whole story with the world. And I'm sure, you've probably done some stuff, but Tyler's right. A lot of people don't know, like how that whole story and how everything came together. And so first of all, thank you. It's an honor that you had this team and that you, are here with us on the show. So,
well, like I said, thanks for having me. I prefer to, stay out of the spotlight and be the guy behind the guy. But, I definitely had an influence on what Dynasty became, there were a handful of other people who I think without, there would be no Dynasty, right? Going back to, some guys I can think of really going back, Chris Hagen, who had Pacific Paintball and Cap Products.
Yeah. That was my favorite at the time when I was growing up. Like Cap was, man, that was the best company ever.
Yeah. So he took, Ryan and Yosh worked at his shop. So he paid them in paintballs and that got them going. And then he took Cap Factory was the next step after Iron Kids. So Iron Kids is where I feel like it really got its start, because that's where almost all the original members first played on the same team.
Yeah.
And then Cap Factory was the next step. And then Chuck Hench took over that team and turned that team pro as Dynasty. So without Chuck, without Chris, even going back before, there's a guy no one's ever heard of, and nor should in paintball, Jason Bedell. And he took the guys, it was Ryan, Yosh, Alex, and Oliver and him, and they were Lofty 3, I think.
That's
and
right.
That's when the guys first started doing like the Great Western series, and he was like, the only one with a license or who could rent a car or, all that stuff, because he was 10 years older than them. And, but without him, there might not have been, right? Like Ryan, Yosh, Alex, Oliver wouldn't have been paying their dues on the Great Western series and wouldn't have taken that next step. Richard Frazee, Alex's dad. I mean, without Richard.
Rest in peace to Richard.
Yeah,
such
absolutely.
An
Passed
amazing
away
man.
last year. Or earlier this year. No, he was a great guy, a great friend, but because his son was into paintball, and that was something him and Alex did together, and they actually brought Oliver out. So, Richard, let them play as much paintball as possible. Richard ended up making paintballs, Great American Paintballs, which we were talking about.
Dude, and you got the box right behind you.
I have the first box of Great American Paintballs ever made behind me, signed by Alex and his sister Amanda and Richard. And I got a little baggie of those first paintballs in there.
That's insane.
If you guys are listening to the podcast, you need to head over to the YouTube channel and check that ancient artifact out. It's sitting right there. Very first box of Great American Paintballs. There's no banana ball in there. I'm assuming that's just regular. Way later. Yeah. Oh, he's opening it. He's grabbing the case.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, he's grabbing the case.
So for those who don't know,
banana ball was much later.
Yeah, Great American Paintballs it was Dynasty's paintballs. That's what they shot at the height of their success. And man, that stuff shot so straight. They even had banana ball, like he said, that came on a little bit later. But this is the very first box that he's showing us ever.
Number one, April 5th, 1999. I don't know if you can read that on there.
That's crazy. And they signed it at the bottom.
Yeah, Richard and Alex and Amanda. To Eric, it was yellow.
That's awesome. And which trophy is that you have in the back?
Here's what I got left.
Oh, whoa.
From
They're
the
yellow.
First case ever.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wait, can you pull those back up, Eric? Yeah. The paint? I want to see what kind of condition they're still in.
They're not great. They're not looking good.
Oily. They're definitely oily.
Little dimple.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like some of the rec paint nowadays.
But we're 99, 09, 19. I mean, they're 21 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. You still got them.
Crazy. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't expect them to be yellow. Is that what they started? That was it, huh? The yellow.
That was. I mean, I couldn't have told you that, but yeah, that was the first case of paint they ever made. So yeah, first ones they made were yellow.
That's awesome. And which trophy is it that you have behind you back up there?
That's a Bay Cities Classic.
Oh yeah,
first place, and then what's the other one? First place. I think the other one might be another classic. First place.
Those are the best. Shout out to 10-Man Paintball, man.
The other one's UWL. I think that UWL might have been Marcelo's first time playing in the woods.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were there, Tyler. I heard he was really scared.
Listen there, buddy. All right, I started playing in the woods, Mr. Crandall. Okay,
I'm not sure about
Crandall. That. I won tournaments in the woods in beginner. I have pictures. I can prove it. You want to come at me like that?
Tyler,
I know you don't.
Were you at that?
I was.
When Marcelo was scared to play in the woods?
I wasn't scared, but you're thinking Kyle, dude. We've had this conversation before. You're thinking Kyle. Tyler knows. I was stoked to play in the woods.
Tyler? You know, I can't remember right now. My memory is, but I'm pretty sure that he was good to go.
I'm pretty sure you're covered for your boy is what I'm sure of. Don't make me get someone else in here.
You're thinking Kyle. Ask Ryan. You should get him on the hotline right now. Call him. It was definitely Kyle. I've never been afraid to play in the woods. I love the woods. I always advocate to play in the woods. The woods are fun.
Crandall, you were a woods master, right?
The woods was the only place I was ever any good. Yeah.
You played. Yeah.
It was harder for people to shoot you and easier to not come out when you were hit and things like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. It's NorCal Paintball too. At the time that you're talking about, you know, when we got into it all, there was a huge boom of paintball up here. It was just crazy. California in general was just booming at that time. And then obviously the recession hurt us, you know, in 2007, but I think it's come back pretty solid, if not stronger, right there within the last couple of years. You know, it's been crazy with COVID, but I think people are still doing well out there from what we hear playing paintball. Thankfully, it's one of the few sports that we can play and be safe and, you know, still have a good time and get out in the fresh air and, you know, have some normalcy in life these days. So thank God for paintball these days, man. And everything that you guys do in the industry, it's been really cool to watch Field One and watch everything that you guys have done and the growth that you guys have had in the last couple of years. It's been pretty cool to watch that.
Yeah, no, Northern California was at least really I'd argue the center of tournament paintball. I mean, when I was coming up, you had the Iron Men out of here who were arguably the best team in the world at the time and for quite some time. You know, you had guys like Billy Saransky and Opie Thomas, Danny Love. All those guys were NorCal guys who got picked up and moved out to other places to play. Billy Saransky and Danny Love are from Northern California, and they, you know, Aftershock picked them up and brought them out there and gave them jobs. And you know, same thing with Opie.
Crazy. I was at the 10-man event in Chicago recently, and the NXL event that they had out there. And Danny, I was wearing a Santa Cruz shirt because my mom's from Santa Cruz, and he was like, he told me he grew up there. I was like, what are you talking about? You grew up there? I never, in all the years that I've been in paintball, I never knew that until just recently. And then it's funny that you bring that up because that's pretty crazy. They must have been like some of the first hired guns ever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there were some before that, but they were some of the, I mean, like I said, Rennick, I think, you know, pretty sure he hired Danny. I know he hired Danny. I'm pretty sure he hired Billy and moved Billy out there too. Opie. Who did Opie go play with?
Opie.
Image. Opie was Image.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think
Opie
that
is
was
a
his
legend, man.
first out of town team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, NorCal, when I was growing up, it was like I would go to Modesto and play out there, and I couldn't believe how many professional paintball players I would see. I'm so fortunate that, Modesto gets a bad rap, but if you're going to play paintball, it's the place that you wanted to be at the time that I was growing up. So I'm super grateful for that. Rich Telford Extreme Paintball and everything that they provided out there. And it was crazy because you're right. It was the Mecca at the time. And I got in at 2000 is when I first started playing. And it was crazy. I would see Dynasty, like you said, Ironman, Cap.
Bob Long's Ironman. You had both Ironman teams out there.
That's right. And then I happened to get lucky enough to get, picked up by Bob Long when I was a kid. And it was just crazy the type of culture that we had in NorCal. And I feel that it's getting stronger. Like we have Capital Edge and everything like that.
In SoCal too, it really was all of California. And that's why some of the guys had moved down to Southern California before Dynasty had started, right, Crandall?
Well, but so predating that, so the guys did move down to Southern California. I think that's mainly because Ryan decided to go to San Diego State, and then just people followed. And but again, predating that, if you look at when I was a kid, when I was first getting into it, the best teams in the world were the Ironmen, who I think were number one, and then you had Aftershock, All Americans. Constant Pursuit was a middle of the road team, but they were NorCal.
So that's where Rusty got it.
Yeah. Fred Schultz is doing I guess it's not a podcast, but I don't know,
like a vlog
webisode or Fred's getting back into it, but he was like the ambassador of paintball and did a bunch of videos and got paintball on ESPN and MTV and did a bunch. Yeah, he was NorCal. Tour de Force was a really good pro team out of NorCal. Northern California probably had 3 or 4 of the top 8 pro teams.
Wow.
When I was a kid.
Crazy.
And Southern California, it was Navarone and who was middle of the road and
Navarone. That was Matty Marshall, right? That's where Matty came through.
He did.
I thought it was Marine team he came through.
He played for Navarone.
That must have been real early.
Yeah, super early. Yeah, he was 15, 16, I guess. I remember him. Yeah, he was 15 because he couldn't drive.
Dude, we have Matty on for 6 hours.
Yeah, Matty likes to talk for sure, and I'm sure he's got some stories.
We could have kept going.
We did the first show and it hit 4 hours and we didn't get to any of the questions. We're like, Matty, we gotta call it, And then so he's like, should we do another one tomorrow? And we're like, okay. So we did it 2 nights back to back, and they were such good shows. I mean, talk about just a wealth of paintball knowledge and someone who I love the way Matty articulates things too. He just does a great job of painting the picture for you. So it's 6 hours, but you're kind of sucked in the whole time. You're like, whoa, yeah, dude, tell me more.
Yeah, no, he's a great storyteller.
Great storyteller. It's been his thing.
Man, I miss seeing everybody. I just want the season to start already and get back to playing some paintball. It sounds like, we might as well bring up there's going to be some changes happening next year.
I think that's a big maybe.
It's a maybe, right?
We can talk about it because I've had these conversations before and nothing's happened. So I wouldn't start
I can guarantee you
making your plans. But
I already booked my flights for the nine events. Yeah. That wasn't a good move. You guys owe me $10,000.
Yeah.
You can fly anywhere for $200 this year.
Yeah, 2 of them are first class. Well, we're world champs, dude. We don't buy anything less than first class now. What are you talking about?
Yeah. One dinner at Charlie's and listen to you.
That's right.
That's my 5th dinner at Charlie's, as a matter of fact. So get it right.
Well, divisional wins don't count, bro.
Okay, it's my 4th then. All right, it's my 4th. Come at me. I only counted 1 divisional win. You're right. They don't count. But it was with Dynasty. I was D3 with Aftermath, and Dynasty also won that year, which was really cool.
Okay. Crazy.
Yeah, so we were both at Charlie's. So that was when we were there this last time. It was just for me, that was super cool, man. I think I probably even brought it up to a few of you. Cocktails were flowing, drinks were flowing, and it was to me, it was like, man, this is crazy to have started my career kind of here, the Aftermath camp, and looking up to everybody that was sitting at the table from Dynasty, and then now be in those shoes for the 20th anniversary, sitting at that table. It's just honestly a major honor. Like, I know kids dream of that, and you can't replace that feeling. It's like everything you work for right there.
Yeah. I mean, how crazy is it that Dynasty won the first World Cup they played in and just won their 20th?
Whoa. That's
it's
crazy.
Just
right?
Dynasty
20 years.
Wow.
And there's been a couple in between, right? And just to stay competitive for that long.
Yeah.
It's
so
it's
what's in the water? So what is in the water? Like, what people around the world want to know? How do you?
I think it's just a culture, right? I think the culture started right, and it's kept going. And I think as long as you can keep that culture going, it's bigger than any one player. People used to ask, oh, what's going to happen when these guys retire? Tom asked me the other day, what's going to happen when Ryan retires? Honestly, I don't think
you keep
a whole heck of a lot, right? You've got a core, and it's bigger than any one player or two players, and all the original guys can be gone, and I don't think it matters because you've got that culture, and
they'll live on forever. They are eternal, actually, because they are us. And as long as we can keep that fabric together and keep that culture together, and that's the beautiful thing about Dynasty. Like, when you go to a Dynasty gathering, you see like 20, 30 other Dynasty players from the past, or like, a wedding or a function, whatever you call it. But there's just a like the shirt that I'm wearing, the lineage, man, is just so deep, and it goes on forever. And that's why all these players, they live on through us, and we will pass that torch, and Dynasty will always be a thing because that heritage will be passed down, and the culture will be kept alive. That's where it's at.
Yeah, no, I believe that too. As long as you can keep that culture alive, and you don't end up with some sort of mass exodus where now all of a sudden everyone's gone, and But again, I think the team that's never happened before, and I don't see why that would ever happen.
It's been like Marcelo was saying, man, the ultimate honor. I know when I was a kid, I nerded out, watched paintball videos, looked at all the paintball magazines, and I was like, that's where I want to be someday. And I still am in disbelief at, the fact that I've been able to play for this team for several years now, and we've been able to do some pretty cool stuff. So it's just a tremendous honor to be a dragon. You know what I mean? To be a dragon. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the dragon.
I actually just bought somebody close to me a little dragon ornament kind of thing.
There we go. Speaking of the holidays,
all about the dragon. Yeah.
What do the holidays look like at the Cran Pad? What do you guys got going on? Huge shout out to your beautiful wife, Danielle, and your 3 daughters that you have. And, they're amazing. And you guys have the most awesome family. We went to the zoo and just had a riot that one day.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We have a little bit of a winter wonderland going on. We got 2 Christmas trees in the house, and then and then we got a new we moved almost 2 years ago, or I don't know. We bought a new property about a year and a half ago and moved in about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And the first time my wife ever saw it, she's like, "This tree would look really good all lit up." And there's like this 200-year oak tree that's giant and just going every which way. Yeah. So this year I got to put 2,600 feet of lights in that tree.
Oh, nice job, dude.
Yeah, and it's still not fully done, right? Like, I got probably 80% of it, but 2,600 feet of lights, like a half mile. So it looks fantastic. And then there's a handful of other trees that have been done too. So,
dude, that is
dude,
so
you
cool.
gotta. I want to see pictures. Christmas is my favorite holiday of all time. It's like the one time of the year, December. As soon as December 1st rolls on, there's nothing else playing in my car other than Christmas music. I seriously put on the Christmas station. I go and just drive around and look at lights at night by myself for 20 minutes. I swear.
You come up. You and my wife can go do that, because she'll take a detour anywhere we go and be like, "Oh, let's see if anyone has cool Christmas lights in this neighborhood."
Dude, I
Our
love
dream
it.
is to have us be a destination Christmas light place, I think. And I think that's where we're headed.
You got to do it.
Yes, do it, Crandall.
Give me another year or two of doing a bunch more of these giant trees like this, and you'll be able to see our place from space.
For sure.
That's amazing, dude.
That's outstanding.
I love it. Christmas is great. I don't know if you can kind of see in the corner here. My tree is way too big for my little condo. It's like an 8.5 footer. but I love it. You know,
you
it's
want
all right. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
great.
I love
And yeah, man, you guys are definitely gonna have that destination spot. I know you, Cran. You're gonna be wrapping those trees every year.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know how those people do it. That's a lot of work. Like,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to do? Well, you said you're also not done, but
Well,
2,500 feet
I
of
mean,
light.
just that one tree took. So let me back up. I rented a lift, right? One of those boom lifts.
Yeah.
So I rented that thing that I'm driving around in, and I used it to do some tree cutting and some other stuff too. But
Yeah.
it took me probably about 5 or 6 hours with the lift, and then another couple hours by
Dude.
hand climbing the places I couldn't reach, and then just plugging them all in, right? Like figuring out how you're going to put them on so
Yeah.
you
You
can
don't
plug
screw
them
it up.
all in. It's like it's sort of an engineering marvel. You're like, okay, I've got
Yeah.
all these things, and how am I
Dude.
going to do it, and where am I going to connect it? And so figuring that out, doing it. So it was a solid 8 hour day with a lift is how I call
Yeah,
it.
Locked in.
For one
full day at
tree.
work. That's not too bad though,
For
actually.
one tree.
So like in like 1 week, yeah, I'm sure you gave that tree a lot of love. You know, like it's a big tree. It's not just one tree; it's a big tree.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's one tree.
Okay. How many trees like that do you have in your yard?
I mean, how many do we on the property? How many do we have like that?
Yeah, sure. Well, that
I
could be
mean-
seen. That could be seen. Damn, what kind of property you got? I see the face you
just-
just made. What
Yeah,
do you, how
Well,
many
you just
acres you
moved
got?
out of your child, like you lived at that house since you were a kid, right? That you were at. And-
Yeah, the house that we moved from had my grandfather was the architect and built it in the
Dude.
50s.
Whoa.
I moved in when we were like 3 years old, and I never moved out. My parents moved, and I bought the house from them because I didn't want to move.
Yeah, I love that.
Wow, that's super cool, dude. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
man, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And then you guys moved kind of down the mountain a little bit. Is that right? Or
We moved 1 mile down the road.
yeah, there we go. So
Never
you're
thought
still-
I was going anywhere, but I couldn't pass on this place. And
It's got a lot
Yeah.
of trees.
I mean, I don't know what I'd put the over under at 1,000 trees.
Jeez, there we go,
Okay, so
baby.
yeah, okay, we're not doing all the trees.
Yeah.
No.
But
no,
but,
but
the house is. I want to see what the house looks like. If the tree
the
has
house,
that many
the
lights,
house is like, I mean, we have lights on the house, but the house
Yeah.
is like
It's a
nothing
house.
compared to that tree.
Yeah, I remember you were going through a little bit of hell with the house and having to jump through a bunch of hurdles.
Oh,
How did all that go?
Well, I mean, so selling my house was a little bit of a nightmare. The town I'm in is wonderful, but one of the reasons it's wonderful is because they're miserable to people. So like, it's not crowded. There's lots of space, but
Yeah.
like, so they do these inspections before you sell a house, basically looking for unpermitted work. At my place, there was
oh no.
I mean, my house was built before the town even existed. So they
Oh,
had no
wow.
records on anything. And they were like, oh, you have a guest house here. We don't have a record of that. So that's illegal. So I had to prove to them it had been there since, before they existed, which I did. And they were like, oh, this play structure in your backyard, you need a permit for that. I was like, what are you talking about? Your code says that you only need it if it's more than like 15 feet tall or permanently mounted.
You were schooling them.
This isn't permanently mounted and it's not more than 15 feet tall. They're like, well, unless it's portable, we consider it permanent, and we don't consider it portable unless you can move it with one hand.
What?
One hand.
I'm like, well, you can't move it with one hand. I mean,
That must have been fun.
they literally made up some of the stuff they were right on, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want to say there was plenty of stuff that they were
Mhm.
correct on, but there were things like that. There was
Yeah.
you don't need a permit where I'm at or most places to repave your driveway. I did that. They were like, no, you got to get a permit. You repaved your driveway. I was like,
Whoa,
you say
that's crazy.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're saying you have to.
They were having fun. They were definitely
Yeah,
having
it was
fun.
miserable.
You got to be careful though, Cran. Our show's gotten really big. They might list it. They might hear this.
That's okay.
Don't,
I mean, that got dealt with. They got their way.
Yeah.
I
And you're in
didn't
the new
fight
spot.
them too hard. I'm in the new spot. Yeah, I had a ton. I mean, the new spot hadn't been lived in 25 years. Like no one had been there for
Oh,
25
man.
years.
Yeah.
So it was like
Had some work for sure.
there was a significant amount of deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
That's what I remember. We had a practice or an event and we were talking about how much work you had ahead of you getting in there. I was like, oh man, because I'm from a little bit of a construction background with my family and stuff. And you were telling me some of the repairs and I was like, oh boy, yeah, that's a journey.
Yeah. To give you an idea on the outside, the town also has a chipper day. And they do
Chipper
it once.
day.
Yeah, once a month, 6 months a year. You can bring all your yard waste to the 6 chipper days.
Everyone's really happy there.
Yeah, we're all chipper. I brought 70 truckloads of yard waste.
Woo-hoo. There you go.
And
70.
that barely made a dent.
What? Oh my God. 70 truckloads. Holy
Like,
moly.
what kind of trucks are we talking about? Like a
Yeah.
Toyota Tacoma or like a
Both, all sizes. Most of them were just in the back of a pickup truck, loaded and roped. But
Yeah.
by the last one, we were running 3 trucks, a truck with a trailer, and then we borrowed my neighbor's gardener's big truck with like a big box in back.
There we go.
So yeah, we were.
I know. I can't wait to get out there and see that place, man. I'll be coming back up into NorCal probably in the beginning of the year, and maybe I'll try and drive over.
So yeah, swing by.
Yeah, totally. That sounds awesome. All right. Well, I kind of want to continue on with your
Paintball?
heritage in the game. Yeah. And no, this is great. You know,
I could talk about
Real
Christmas
life.
and stuff like that for hours if you guys want. I can tell you all the Christmas movies to watch on
Christmas
Netflix.
stories. We'll just read Christmas stories on here.
Real quick, Eric, the last thing I'm going to say about Christmas, but we had a couple people reach out about the wine-infused cannolis we talked about on the last show with Mikey.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of wine-infused cannolis?
I have
Crandall?
not.
No, I love a good cannoli. I had a cannoli actually just the other day. It was not good,
Yeah.
but
If you get a bad cannoli, it really sucks.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, a bad cannoli is just like, but oh man, a good cannoli. I remember my buddy's wedding one year, a long time ago in Vegas. The cannoli at that place were
Unreal.
a good cannoli is
Now,
amazing.
out of this world, 100%. I'm Italian. You ain't got to tell me twice.
Yep,
now
the
imagine some wine-infused cannoli.
What does that even mean? What is a wine-infused cannoli?
Well, I don't know exactly how it gets done, but you look at like what The Rock is doing right now with his tequila, and he has like tequila-infused ice cream, and I'm like, oh, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's just making the cannoli with they're just mixing red wine in there. Probably.
I think it would be white. I think it would have to be white
Right?
with the cannoli, right? White wine.
Yeah, we can do a little red.
You can do both. You can do both.
I mean, it's cheese, right? It's mascarpone cheese, and I feel like cheese and red is usually a good pairing. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like the lighter, because the cannoli, it's kind of a lighter.
Oh, we're changing the game. We're changing the game on the cannoli.
Damn, we got to play the cannoli game. Wine-infused Field One cannolis coming at you by 2021.
Yeah, for sure. We got them. Play the game, cannolis.
You got any good cannoli down there in San Diego?
Do we what?
Do you have any good cannoli in San Diego?
Dude, Crandall, there's this one spot in Little Italy that my dad has taken me to since I was a kid called Salunto's. And it started out as this little hole in the wall deli. They've kind of modernized it, sold it to different members of the family by now, so it's not quite as good as it used to be. You used to be able to get like the really good pizza. The pizza, it's a little fancy, and I like, but the cannolis are the same. And the cannolis there are out of this world. They're really good.
All right, I'll hit you up next time I'm down there. I've had cannoli a few times in San Diego. I feel like, what's that big like indoor mall thing down by the water? Is it down by the water? I don't know. It's like on one of the old naval bases. Anyways,
you got to have some good ones in the city, right?
Oh, you said indoor, right?
Yeah, it's indoor. It's like a bunch of little like foods. Anyways, it's
not Coronado, is it?
It might be on Coronado, but it's not called Coronado. It's called
yeah. No, it's Coronado.
I'm sure Alex.
I think it might be on there.
Frazee knows where all the good spots are at. There's got to be a good spot in the city too. I'd imagine out in that way. For you, Cran.
Up north.
The city. I mean, that's what they call San Francisco, is the city. You know, it is the city.
Yeah. I've probably had some. Anyways, there's good cannoli out there. It's hard to find though.
The Italian, hard to find, for sure. I got you though. Next time you come to town, I got you. All right. All right.
I'm a quarter Italian. I don't know if you know that.
Okay.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Dog. Damn, I didn't know that. Yeah, I never would have guessed.
No wonder
he's Italian, quarter Swedish.
There we
half
go.
English.
That's where you get the perfect jaw structure from. The Swedes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Dude, see, we learned something new here. Didn't know that. Yeah. Italian. So what was it like in the early years managing Dynasty, Cran, when it was crazy, dude? When the team was winning everything? What was that like?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Losing's no fun. Winning's lots of fun. So, it was never easy, right? Like, I mean, Dynasty, we have a thing we say a lot, I think, about better being lucky than good. I mean, Dynasty got lucky a lot.
But
Dynasty magic is a real thing.
Dynasty magic.
Yeah. You will it. You put yourself in a position to win. I mean, but there were so many times where, like, to win the series, we needed like this last place team to finish first and this first place team to finish last, and like
that happened to
stuff.
us against you guys in 2008 in the NPPL with the Ironman. We had such a big lead. We had to literally not win a game in the prelims for you guys to win. And
it happened, right? And then we needed the Hurricanes to like do something. Yeah. I mean, again, there have been so many times like that where like we have no chance and it just happened, right? Like
Dynasty magic. It's a real thing.
You probably never heard this, Crandall, but when I used to play with the Russians, I remember Kirill would always say that. He's where I got that expression from, dynasty magic. Like for the Russians, it's a real thing when you play dynasty. Like the dynasty magic, you don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, it's again, it happened a lot, and because there were a lot of good teams. You know, you can look and say, oh, you won 8 out of 10 events, and 12 out of 13 events or whatever when you're talking about all 3 leagues. But it was never. I mean, there were some tournaments where you just rolled through everyone, and it was really really good. Yeah. But the vast majority of them were like by the skin of your teeth, barely pulled it out, like super tough.
But the will, like you said, the will,
the luck, it really is though. Oliver and Tyler, I'm sure you're big on this. The whole manifesting your destiny, and when you believe you're going to win, you take the steps to put yourself in a position to win. So even when the cards are stacked against you, you still believe you're going to win. So when you're playing a 3-on-1 and you're going to win because you're supposed to win, you play that 3-on-1 to win, as opposed to the guys who play it like, I'm screwed. Let me just try and run over here and do this. Like, it's not that they're trying to lose, but they've sort of given up, right?
It's a little different. It's different.
For sure. And it's like you said, it's just a little shift in the intention, right? The intention moving forward with how are we going to face these moments ahead? And that little shift sometimes can be everything. And like
you have to truly believe you're going to win if you're going to win. And Dynasty is really good at truly believing they're going to win.
Yeah.
Almost always, and no matter what kind of odds they're facing. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think that was a big factor in this World Cup win. I know Tyler and I had talked about it so much leading up to it. And then as soon as they announced they were having the event, everybody on the team was like, we're winning this event. That's all there is to it. Start practicing now, start watching film, start doing this, doing that. I don't care what you do everything it takes to get in your mind that we're going to win this one. And Rusty brought that same energy to that very first practice, get it in your minds that we're going to win the event. And you're right. There's something so powerful about that belief. And you have to have other stuff to pair with that belief. You can't just not be skilled and not have talent and not have an organization that, could win an event. But that is what really takes organizations to the next level is that belief and confidence in each other.
And your pit crew. Shout out to the pit crew. Time.
It's true. All those things play a part. But, the thing about that, Marcelo, is you can't fake it, right? No. You can't just say, oh, I believe we're going to win. I know where you're going to win. Everybody has to truly believe that we're going to win, because you're going to face adversity. And when the chips are down and, when you need it most, if you have that belief, you're more likely to find a way to make it happen than, if you don't.
I think when you have that belief and it starts early in your preparation, it just trickles down to everything you do, right? Like you do everything a little more diligently. You practice a little harder. You put in a few more hours, everything, because you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing. Like everything is in line with what it takes to win, And when you don't have that mindset, it's so funny. I mean, God, I know we're the young guys on the team, but Tyler and I have been playing pro for a long time now, as well, which is crazy. So I've seen it all, and I've been victim of not having some of that belief sometimes, in some events where it's like there is a little doubt or there's something, and the mind is a funny thing. It's really difficult to manage, but I always notice the difference in either my play or the team's play when there's like a few things that are just off and don't, everyone's not all in or whatever it might be. You notice it and the results show that. And every time that I've ever been a part of a win, it's felt pretty similar, the preparation, the mindset, the mentality, the vibe at the event, it's always felt similar. That's what's weird, like it's no matter what group it's with, like there's been a very similar, aura and belief in each other and confidence, whatever you want to call it, mojo. And it's kind of an intangible in sports. I think that translates in all sports, though.
Oh, I agree completely. I think, and I think you see it in other sports. There are players who are winners. There are coaches who are winners, right? Like,
yeah.
Guys who find a way to win. I mean, if I was an NFL coach or general manager or, basketball, I'm way more concerned with guys on winning teams than guys not, right? Like a good player who can find a way to win, or, I'd rather have a guy who was super successful at a lesser school than, really successful at a better school, but didn't win, right? Like he had great personal numbers, but didn't help find, like
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like a
I know
great
exactly.
quarterback, I feel like will make a bad team win, or a great coach can step in and turn a team around with the same personnel, the same everything, because he gets them to buy in. And there's just some people are winners and some people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
I so agree with you. I do got to say, Belichick's not doing a good job of that right now with the damn Patriots.
Yeah, but
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and none of it is absolute. Like even guys who do it, it's hard to keep. I mean, sometimes it's the change. Like you have the energy, you have the change, but it's hard to keep it together. I mean, no thing can always win, always be the best, always.
Yeah. No.
But to do it consistently for a long time, I mean, bringing the conversation back to paintball, one of Dynasty's biggest accomplishments, I think, is being so competitive for so long. And if you look at over the years who the top 4 teams were, and I've never done this, but I bet if you looked, there's a huge turnover every 2 or 3 years.
You're right.
And I remember telling Bart throughout, because he had a good 3 or 4 years. I mean, he had what I felt like it was a pretty long run, and I congratulated him multiple times. This is Bart with Impact, because their run was way longer than normal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One, they had a couple dominant years, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. And number 2, they held it together because I've seen this thing over so many years, and usually after a team has a really good year, a pretty good year, a really good year, a pretty good year, and then they're sort of falling off, right? Like, and not that they're terrible, but they just go from being one of the top 4 teams to a top 8 team, and that top 4 turns over a lot. Mm-hmm. And so for teams to hold it together for 3, 4, 5 years and sort of stay in that top 4 range is, I mean, I was going to say it's pretty impressive, but it almost doesn't happen.
Yeah. You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. And like you're saying, I think if you looked at the numbers and the stats, I think you would see that Dynasty has consistently been a top 4, top 5 team throughout the entirety of the lineage of the team, which is unheard of, in not just paintball, but in sports. It's like this team has dominated for 2 decades and isn't going anywhere, which is even more impressive. You guys have, so many new developments that you're creating and are just a huge part of paintball culture. So it's crazy, man. It's really, really cool.
I mean, that's you guys that aren't going anywhere. I mean, right. But I want to circle back to something Tyler said earlier about the pit crew. I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. It's just the paint and the pit situation. I mean, first of all, with the paint, I mean, I've said this forever, and I believe it. One ball can make the difference between you winning or losing the event.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That bounce versus that break is that kill, and that kill is that game, and that game is that match, and that match is the difference between winning and losing.
Dude,
and that's one ball. Let alone one ball per game.
Yes. We could dig so deep into this because you're right, Crandall. It is the pit, from the pit to the field is everything. Like, thank God for our pit. We had the best pit at World Cup. Everybody was phenomenal. And we all, like Crandall is always right there. He's like, yo, let's shoot the paint. Let's get this going. Let's see what's going on. Always checking in, tapping in, making sure that we have the best product to shoot out there. Huge shout out to HK Army for everything that they're doing for us. And, shooting through a Field One gun, you just don't miss with these premier paintballs and these markers that we're shooting. So it was amazing.
You missed a few times, Tyler.
No way, buddy. Never. I ain't never.
Way, buddy. You talking? Hey, I might have missed. Tyler did not miss. Listen,
you're gonna lie. Dump a lot of paint on the field, buddy.
Hey man, all that matters.
That's funny.
We got it, dude. We did it.
Hey,
but yeah, it's crazy.
I want to touch on that though, Crandall, because you're so right, and it's something that I know for sure happens. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you, Ty. It's something that definitely happens in the pro division. I guarantee you. I know for a fact there's pro teams that don't have the right pit situation. They don't have the right understanding of how to manage paint, how to take care of paint, all of that kind of stuff that makes that difference that you're talking about, right? So they're already at a disadvantage. I know this because I do a lot of coaching and tournaments for divisional teams, Division 3, 4, 5 even. And when I tell them when it's, 95 degrees in New York and it's really humid and I say, hey, we need a cooler, we need to keep paint cold, whatever it might be. And I know we had this discussion, but they're blown away. They're like, wait, what? We need to do what? Or if they get the paint early, like an hour before the game and they pot it up and they have it sitting in the pods, and I'm like, whoa, take it all back. They're like, what are you talking about? I said, take it all back. We're not playing the finals with paint that's been loaded for an hour in 85% humidity. What are you thinking? You spend all this money on practice. You spend all this money on the travel here. This is coming out of each of your own pocket. Mm-hmm. We're not going to throw it away because of mismanagement of the paint. That is first and foremost.
You can control that. And
yes, you can control that.
You know what I mean? It's just a lack of awareness of what's happening.
And a lot of it is simple, right? Like even if you don't have a cooler, if you just don't open the case of paint, it's not going to swell from humidity. It's going to keep its temperature well. Obviously there's other steps you can take, which depending on the paint and the temperature and the humidity is great, but just basic paint management. And like you said, I mean, there's plenty of pro teams who, I've seen with their paint potted up 2 hours before the game.
On their back, and they're on the field, like walking the field with the paint that they're going to play the very first point with on their back.
Yeah. So, and then, the other thing about the pit crew, what I always like to tell our crew, as part of the thank you is, it feels like you're not really doing anything, but when the players only have to focus on playing and they're not scrambling to fill their pods and, that is a huge advantage, right? If you look into some of these other pits and, everyone's frantic and scrambling for this, scrambling for that, their guns down, whatever it is, you're taking away time that they could be calm, relaxing, talking about what happened the last game, figuring out what they're going to do the next game. And if if the pit crew can just take that part out of it, where the guys come in, get cleaned up, figure out what they're doing the next point, and go back out. That's why I'm always so anti us calling a timeout. I mean, I would guess we probably call fewer timeouts than anyone.
Yeah,
I hate it because I feel like we're on top of it and the other team isn't. So any timeout we call is almost always helping the other team more than us.
That's right. Yeah, dude, that's huge, man. And it's all those little details, man. It's like you're already playing a game out on the field. You don't want to be playing another game when you come into the pits. You're like, I got enough to think about out here trying to win this event, win this game. I don't need to come into the pit and have pandemonium and madness. And then once you have that unification of everybody that's on the same page and we can all connect on that movement and get the information, get what you need, be effective, be primed and ready to go at the gate, ready to hit it, and when you get all those little things, it just streamlines the whole process for sure.
Yeah. And it's not super hard and you don't need a ton of people. It just needs to be a focus and an emphasis, one or two guys, one or two people can do that. I mean, depending on how much paint and all this stuff, but one or two people can do that in almost any situation. And it's just, you want to have that so that the players can focus on playing and not all the other stuff, right?
Yeah, Victor would be so mad if I didn't shout him out, the pit boss himself, dude, for holding it down. You and Cran.
Vic has been upgraded.
Yeah,
all right. Assistant coach / pit boss / dynasty extraordinaire. So don't leave that part out for our man right. Vic.
Yep, he's doing big things, Victor.
Victor saved me Sunday morning. Saved me.
Oh yeah.
Because you left your gun at the hotel?
I left my gun at the hotel.
He was concussed.
Dude, that's how I know for sure that I had a concussion.
Oh my God.
That's how I know for sure is because when I've never done that. I've been playing this game a long time. I've never.
It's pretty important to bring your gun to the field.
It's pretty important. It was like fully set up, cleaned, ready to go, and I just left it. Didn't even notice until like right before our game. Oh my god! My god!
No.
Oh my god.
Well, to kind of make it a little easier on you, I think that you were concussed from when we had a big crash on the field there. That was insane.
I know what the symptoms of concussions are, man. I know how I felt that night and the next morning, and then throughout. Like I'm pretty sure there was a mild one.
Yeah,
probably not a serious one, but I'm pretty sure there was a mild one.
Well, yeah, your feet were in the air. I watched the video. I was like, oh my god, you did it.
My head slammed on the back of the ground.
Oh my god. So that was our first game against the Wild Dogs, right? That was how we.
It was our second match, but it was the first point.
Yeah,
the first point against the Wild Dogs.
We're like, all right, Wild Dogs, here we come, boom.
Yeah, damn it.
Oh man, shouldn't leave early.
It was you, actually. You didn't get the call. We could talk about this right now because we had a call that you were supposed to wait for to
he
release.
Gets mad when he's wrong. It's okay, people.
There was a call that I'm supposed to relay to you. I'm supposed to give you the call from our God player.
I know you dropped the ball.
Our God player didn't give the call. So I said, oh, I better go plug this hole. And nope, Tyler was going anyway.
Dude, you got plugged, all right.
He said, I'm going. Yeah, I didn't plug a hole. I didn't plug a hole. Jeez, dude, follow the game plan, Tyler.
Yeah, seriously, Marcelo, right. You always do this.
Why would you just do that to me?
All right, Crand, we're sorry. We'll let up.
That's all right.
Crand, let's dive back in. So you're getting on the bus to go play paintball. Is your first couple times. I want to get back into how you got to see these kids at the paintball field that are now known as the Dynasty guys. And I want to get that story going. Let's kind of dive back into the lineage, and then we'll get up to present.
I started working at the paintball field in high school, and then by the time I was a senior in high school, I was running it for the guy, and then I was going to go off and go to college, and he wanted to get out of it, so I ended up buying part of it, and then
what year was that when this happened?
So that was 96. So I graduated in 96, so I bought part of it in 96, and then bought them out in 98. And one of the things I did was I ran the Mare Island Cup, which was like a novice tournament. Beginner kind of tournament, and the first one I ran, Alex and Oliver had a team that they put in called the Monkeys, and Ryan and Yoshi they put in called the A Team.
Nice.
And both of them did terrible. I think if I remember, Ryan and Yoshi's team got the sportsmanship award, so they might have done worse than Alex. But they both did real bad. I don't think either one won the game.
Sportsmanship award.
Yeah.
That's never a good one to win. It means he did not win.
Not usually. So
I love that, dude. That's
awesome. That was the first tournament all four of those guys ever played, was the Mare Island Cup. And then I did another one, I don't know, the next year, 6 months later or whatever, and they played again. Ryan and Yosh found a ringer, and so their team actually did pretty well the next time.
Who was it?
Might have been Tim Seaton.
There we go. Shout out to Tim. You were the ringer, dude.
And then I think maybe Alex cut Oliver for the next one, so Oliver didn't play the second one.
That's why Oliver left Dynasty.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know if you noticed, but there's sometimes some tension between different players.
Yeah, I never noticed.
They fight like family.
I never noticed.
And that's also part of the whole aura and magic.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure Alex cut Oliver, and so he wasn't at the second one. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so that was their first tournament, and then I think I hooked those guys up together or helped facilitate them together, and they went. Maybe I took them to a Great Western in San Diego to play 10-man at the end of the year because they were into it and doing it and out there every weekend. Yeah. And then the next year they did the Lofty 3 thing with Jason.
Yep. And
then I remember talking to Alex, and he had this vision of an all kids team, which kids didn't really play tournament paintball.
That's right.
Hardly at all, right? Like, and definitely not at a serious level. But he had this dream of an all-kids team, and I was like, well, who's on it? And he's like, well, me, Oliver, Ryan, Yosh. We met this guy, Todd, playing on whatever team. And
dude.
Oh, and that's right. So I took him to a World Cup maybe they did a year of Great Westerns, and then I took them to World Cup, and we picked up BC and Skinny Kevin for that.
Nice.
So I knew someone, and they were like, "Oh yeah, there's these kids. They'd like to come." So they came and played, and we did decent at that World Cup.
All
I think
those names are just the best dudes ever. You know, like that team just had all legendary characters. You know what I mean? Just amazing people.
Yeah, yeah.
They,
No,
they became legendary, you know?
Well, they
Like at this
already
time
were,
they
yeah.
weren't. Yeah.
yeah, they were
Crazy.
pretty legendary from the beginning, I think. So yeah, we did that, and then after that, they said let's do this kids team, and so we already had BC and Skinny. They knew Todd from playing against him at the Great Western. You know, we
We're
talked
talking about Martinez.
Todd Martinez, yeah. We picked up Eric Roberts and Davey Williamson as our, because you were allowed 2 pros playing Great Western Amateur.
There we go.
So we added those guys who were playing with the Ironmen, the SC Ironmen, so they call them for the Ironmen. They knew Whit, this guy Whit Pierce from Fresno, and so we ended up with I think 11 or 12. You know, Angel was a local player who was a little bit above them, but yeah, we ended up with 11 or 12 players.
And this must have been like around 2000 and like.
No, it wasn't 2000. Dynasty's first year pro was 2001. So
That's
the
right.
year before that, 2000 would have been Cap Factory. So the year before that, that was 1999. We must have played Great Westerns.
Awesome.
So 1999 was the Iron Kids year, and I think we won all those Great Western events. I think.
Yeah,
that was when I started playing.
That's what was so inspiring when I got in the game, and then like being a kid and then seeing these young dudes that are like running the sport, and it was all, you know, for the most part, older guys that were playing paintball, maybe not in their teens or, you know, like anything like that. So it was really inspiring to watch that progress, and then, you know, just see it take off. And I was at all the Huntington Beaches. I was at all the big events too, just like playing divisional or like, you know, with Bob's team. So it was cool to watch the history get made live. You know, it was just insane.
Yeah, no, what's insane to me is that these kids' parents sent them off with, I mean, so that year you got me, David Williamson, and Eric Roberts, who are 21.
Yeah.
You know, Skinny's maybe 19 or 20, BC's 14.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are 15, 16. Their parents are letting them go with us to Oregon and Hawaii and
awesome.
You know, Fresno and wherever else, you know, these events were. Like, I don't know what their parents were thinking.
I know, right? You don't see that anymore, especially in today's day and age. It's like it's non-existent. But
you're 14, sure, go spend the weekend with some 20-year-olds. That's cool.
You'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, man. I'm sure that the stories have piled up over the years. Dynasty, you guys are rock stars, point blank, rock stars of the game. Sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink. I mean, you guys were the epitome of cool in paintball, and still, I hope that we're doing an okay job of keeping it, you know, in that area. You know, we're trying to, you know, create a lot of cool content and do fun things for the community, but it's like you guys were literally like living legends in all the magazines, all the movies. There was so much different ways of getting the paintball, you know, digested in. It was in magazines, it was in movies and stuff like that. Now it's all on the internet. So it's just like a different time period, and the way that it was presented was way more rock star, I think, than what we have today with what's going on.
Yeah, you know, Dynasty benefited a lot. I don't know if we've talked about this much with you guys, but I feel like Dynasty benefited a lot just from their desire to play paintball as much as possible, and the industry's desire around the time Dynasty was getting serious, which I think was right after their first World Cup, I think 2002, to sort of own everything, right? Where they started the original NXL.
Yeah.
And there were no photographers, no videographers. Like, they wanted to own all that content and not let it sneak out. And Dynasty declined to do that. So they played the NPPL 7-man, which, you know, I can talk to you more about that. I was involved in that pretty deeply.
Well, what happened there? Like, what was the breaking point, I guess?
You know, so WDP and JT and Kingman basically had a different vision, and they left, started by WDP, and started the 7-man thing, and they wanted it to be a show. And Huntington Beach was the first event, which I ended up going down there and spending a month at Chuck's condo and helping get that thing
damn
up and off the ground. And
you had a big part in Huntington Beach events happening. That's what you're telling us.
At least at the beginning, yeah. I mean, it was that was for sure Chuck and WDP's thing. But yeah, I was down there helping to make that happen.
You just got your tentacles out everywhere.
Yeah,
don't
you're
you?
clocked in.
Well, I think that's one of the things that, again, going back to Dynasty, what makes them special long term. I think it is their desire to play paintball, their love of paintball. And and I have that same thing, and it isn't about fame or being cool or making money or any of that stuff. I mean, Dynasty's done a ton of stuff over the years to promote the sport of paintball, and they've spent their own money and own time to do those things because they genuinely love paintball. Yeah. And I think that translates, and I think people get that, so that combined with the NXL sort of keeping everything covered, right? Because they wanted to own everything. Dynasty was everywhere, and the other pro teams weren't, right? Like we were the only one playing the Millennium. All those great pro teams in the NXL, they weren't in the magazines and videos hardly at all because they were
lame. It was lame. I was on Oakland Assassins at this time when you're talking about this, and there weren't even real tournaments. We would go and play like a few games, and then you would just go home. It was like a glorified practice. And then at the end of the year at World Cup, it all meant something. But once again, like you said, there was no outside exposure because it was all in-house. They harbored everything. I was actually more interested in what was going on at your guys' field. I was like, who's winning over there? Like we're playing our little glorified practice, but you guys were running the show over there.
Well, I mean, open division, Russians were playing that too. So
that's right.
There were some okay teams over there. I mean, the Russians being the main one. But yeah, we were playing. So we're playing 7-man, we're playing PSP Open, and we're playing Millennium.
Yep.
So we're playing 10, 15 tournaments a year. You guys are doing a few. 5, and we're in every magazine, every video 15 times. Yeah. And you're not, they're not allowing photographers on the field. Yeah. So that's right. I think those things really helped build Dynasty to what they are. And again, that the players' love for the game and not that everyone doesn't love the game, but I don't know. I think it's just a different culture, a different mentality on Dynasty than some other teams.
100%.
It helped 100%. That the team was winning all those events you guys are playing too.
Yeah, it does. But just one of the reasons I think we were winning is because we were playing so much paintball.
Yeah, totally.
You can't no matter how hard you practice, it doesn't have the same intensity as playing an event.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Reffing, just the whole thing. And so playing all those events, again, Dynasty's out there playing 15 events a year.
Yeah.
Right? Just honing their craft nonstop. And on top of the fact that they really, with some of the drills that they were doing, I mean, there was a lot of innovation that took place. And then they had 15 events a year to hone that when everyone else was playing 5.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And then you build that confidence from winning every event, not every, but winning half or 60 or 70 or 80% of the events that you're playing.
Yep.
Now you really do believe you're going to win every event, and then you're playing like it, and you're winning even more than you should be because you have this belief that no matter what happens, we're going to somehow find a way to win this. I don't know how, but it's going to happen.
Absolutely. There's energy behind that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I think that's a big part of it. And coming up in that time, where that was the option and they chose that road. Because, not going into the NXL, that was a pretty big decision. If you think about it, the majority of the teams went that route.
Well, because that was when Dick Clark was, around, that was the conversation at the time that, the NXL is going to be on TV. And how many times have we heard that? But yeah, you guys definitely made a great decision that changed the outcome of the I mean, the whole culture of the game pretty much that, hinged on that a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dynasty would have been successful in the NXL, but they wanted to own your team name, and you weren't supposed to play with that team. I mean, you weren't allowed to play anywhere else.
Yeah, you couldn't go play 7-man.
Infamous went and challenged that rule. They were Miami Effect.
That's right.
They came up with Infamous and say, hey, we're going to play under Infamous here, see what happens, and they did it, and nothing happened, and then other people did it.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. I didn't know that. So that's how that name was born. That's how Infamous name was born, is because Miami Effect.
Yeah.
They were Miami Effect. They went and played a 7-man and played under Infamous. I don't know how they chose Infamous. You have to ask those guys.
Yeah.
But they were the first team to do it, and they weren't supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And they just did it, and they're like, let's see what happens. And
it worked.
I didn't know that. I thought those were two separate teams. That's crazy.
Same bloodline there.
Damn, dude.
That was the Effect guys came and played as Infamous.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. No wonder they both wore yellow.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, those Miami Effect jerseys, I'll never forget those. Those old NXL ones, those are awesome. One of my favorites. I know, man. It's come a long way. We've been at it for a little bit here, and we're just getting started really with everything that we've got cooking up with the team and with F1. It's pretty exciting to be on the cusp of all this still, like you said, Cran, after so many years to still be pushing the boundaries. And I love that you brought up the innovation too with the early years of Dynasty, because that's the cornerstone of it all. You have to be innovating. You have to be really caring. You have to fall in love with the craft and kind of be obsessed with it, And when you fall in love like that and you have that obsession to, to get all the details right, that's how you get the Dynasty magic. That's why the magic happens in the first place, is because you're setting yourself up for that kind of magic to present itself. So it's really, so cool to see what we're going to cook up in 21, because I know F1 has some new stuff on the back burner as well. You guys are always innovating, and I'm sure we'll get into that here in a second. But unless we want to start digging into Field One and start going down that alley.
I know. I mean, I'm happy to keep talking about the good old days. And
let's get perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, whatever. You guys are driving the car, so we'll talk about whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, let's carry on with the lineage and get us up to speed here. You've managed the team for, what is it? Is it 20 years, or is it 21?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, I wasn't. So I've been involved with them since, like I said, the first tournament that those 4 guys played, and they're all their first tournament sort of together. And at the beginning, I was not that involved with Dynasty. I mean, I was around, but not that involved. And then sort of got a little more and more involved, and then here I am now.
What made you stop playing and go pursue the business side of the game?
So I bought the field when I was 18, just turning 19 years old. So I was in on the business side pretty young. And not too long after that, honestly, it was a little overwhelming, having your business be paintball, your friends be paintball, your hobby be paintball. And it was challenging also with, playing competitive paintball and running a paintball field, which is, the same time, same hours, same everything. So at some point pretty early, I felt like I couldn't do them all, and I was like the friends, and the business was a pretty solid thing. So I backed out of the tournament side of stuff.
Have you always just done paintball, or do you do anything else? Do you have any other career, like for the listeners who don't know, have any other careers that you're involved in?
Right now it's Field One, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, I got a couple rental properties, and I'm always dabbling a little here and there. But no, I did not do paintball for a long time. I mean, Dynasty was sort of my only paintball related thing for, I don't know, a while.
What were you doing? What were you doing?
I've done all sorts of stuff. I mean, I've done a decent amount of real estate, like flipping houses and rental properties and stuff like that. I mean, really, my goal in life has always been to do whatever I can where I enjoy it and not have a real job, pay the bills, not have a real job.
That's right.
That's the business right there, dude.
Absolutely.
That's the ticket.
And that's where I'm at right now with this. I was looking for something, and Bob called me up and was like, "Hey,
yeah,
you want to buy me?"
yeah.
And I didn't really, but I was like, all right, well, let's talk. And, it seemed like a good thing. If I can work with people I like and work in an industry I like, then
it's
not going to feel like working. And it doesn't, I'm happy to come to work every day. And,
oh boy, Cran with this phone on. Tyler, I'm going to call you out too. Those 2 shows in a row for
say,
you earlier,
I
buddy.
had it on silent, but I think so it's my wife. I think I have something where like it.
Yeah. Oh, she gets through no matter what.
I think I must, because it was on silent.
She's like, "What are you doing, honey?"
I told her I had this thing, but
you have more lights to hang.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why you came on the show. You wanted to get out of hanging lights tonight.
I told her I'm done for this year. She can come up with the trees she wants to do next year, and we'll do another round.
There we go. Dude, that 2,600 feet of light. That's crazy, man.
That's one tree, bro.
That's crazy.
One tree.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But the big lights at Costco. I mean, oh God, I don't even want to tell you how much money we spend on lights.
There we go. But it's an investment because you're going to have the destination house, and then,
oh yeah, that's
you'll be able
pay
to.
off.
Yeah.
All right. So Crandall, I do have a question, because now I get it. Like you've always kind of been shaking and baking in business, right? Sure. So are you kind of the mastermind, you would say, with Dynasty? Because Dynasty has always been perceived as it's the one team that's not, except, until now, maybe Field One. But before that, they were never a factory team like the Ironman or, some of these other teams, right? It was always a team that treated the game like a business. And I remember, from a young age looking up to you guys for that, for building a brand, something that was, a brand that you could monetize. Who was kind of the mastermind behind all that? How have you guys navigated through all of that?
I think, honestly, a lot of people have been involved in that. So Chuck Hench was the one who took Dynasty Pro. He was working at JT, and there were some decisions there made that I think benefited the team long term, to stay independent. I think Alex's dad, Richard, he was a big proponent of keeping some control. They did the LLC, formed it that way. So I think there have been a lot of people involved, and then the team also has to want that. And I think one of the things you're referring to is the team has always treated things very professionally, right? Like when they made an obligation, they did it, and they take things seriously, and it's and so it's just a culture that I'm certain I was a part of to some extent, but there were some other key people who helped get things started in the right direction. And then, the guys on the team, I think, also bought into that and understood the importance of that. Because without that, it's not going to happen, especially Dynasty when starting out in 2001, you got a bunch of, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, right? Like, but they had good heads on their shoulders, and they understood, and, people like Richard or Chuck or, myself would say, hey, you guys should do this, or this is important and you need to do this. And I think for the most part, they listened and they understood, and they came up with some things on their own that they thought would be good. So
once you get that ball rolling, then it's infectious, and people want to get involved and take it to those next levels. But totally, Dynasty is the business of paintball. Like when you think of making a business out of paintball, that's Dynasty, man. You guys have done it all,
I think it's more running a team as a business, right? Or running a team professionally, because one thing Dynasty hasn't done, and with the exception of Field One, if you look at that, but even that's sort of done separately, it's a separate entity, was Dynasty never got into the business side of it directly. Yeah, which a lot of people, like Infamous is doing that now and seems to be really successful. And a lot of teams have done Excessive did their own pants, and people have done their own apparel and own stuff. And a lot of people suggested that we do that.
Field One is kind of that. Come on,
sort of, but I mean, it was still done separately and differently. And I was never a proponent of that, and that was because, I think if you're gonna run a business, you need to run a business, and that needs to be your focus. And I didn't feel like Dynasty as a paintball team coming out with pants and like, shipping and filling orders. Like if you're not going to do it
Right.
well,
Right.
don't do it. Partner with your sponsors, make your royalty. It's better to focus. It's better to do what you do well. And if playing paintball is what you do well, play paintball, let the other people do it. And yeah, maybe you make less money, but you could be more successful big picture because, you're not
That's
spreading
great
yourself
advice.
thin. And, again, if you're going to do something, do it well. And if you can't do it well,
just don't even do it. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Don't half-ass things. If you're going
there you
in,
go.
get it done for sure.
That's
love
great
that.
advice. We talk about this all the time, Tyler and I, with different things you want to do with play the game, but it's, our main focus is playing paintball and doing well with Dynasty. Everything else right now is, it's that can get in line behind what our number one priority is, which is competing with this team until it's not, and in our careers transition, and then who knows. But that's really good advice, Crandall. A lot of people, I think, do try to spread themselves too thin, and you don't ever really end up getting anything done. You don't do really well at one thing. You end up kind of half-assing a bunch of things.
Yeah,
for a good thing.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Cran.
I was just saying, I mean, you can do more than one thing. You just have to be able to commit to more than one thing, right? You guys are doing the podcast, doing a great job. You got it. This is something actually Alex's dad told me also, and I think it's great advice. It's be honest with yourself, right? You need to be honest with yourself about what you can do and what you're willing to do.
That's right.
And if you can do that, it makes making good decisions a lot easier. But most people, I don't think, are honest with themselves about a lot of things.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, dude. Absolutely. And it's brutal. It's hard to look in the mirror and sometimes, if you take on too much, that's fine if you're cut out for that, but be ready for, 20-hour days and 4 hours of sleep, and don't, like we said, don't go half in, 1 foot in one place, 1 foot in the other, and then do terrible at everything. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, that you're putting out a quality product, whether it's on the field or shipping it in a box or whatever you're going to be doing, make sure it's done well. And that's the bottom line. I love that, man. It's huge. Yeah. And enjoy the process. Like you said, Cran, that's what it's all about. You're having fun building paintball guns. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who can enjoy the process and have jobs that maybe they don't like, but there's always something that you can enjoy. So try and stay close to that and enjoy every moment that you possibly can while doing it.
Totally. So, Crandall, you've obviously been a part of this industry for a long, long time, on the business side especially, and on the team side, on both sides. You are a paintball. Let's kind of talk a little bit. You are, dude. Like, come on, dude.
I see a lot.
You've seen a lot. You've seen more than most, right? Like, I don't think there's much I could ask you about paintball that you don't know. And so just accept the damn compliment. And so we had a pretty interesting conference. You've seen a bunch of different leagues. You've had to make these decisions or be part of these decisions on which league to play, what's right for the team, all of this kind of stuff. So it's, interesting. We had that meeting, the whole Dynasty team did, with Tom Cole. He said he was okay with us, talking about it. Otherwise, we obviously would not. But he had some very interesting ideas to share with us. Would you like to kind of talk about your thoughts on them and elaborate a little bit? He's talking about 3 majors. We talked about it a little bit on the last show with Mikey. 3 majors, 6, what was he calling the other 6 open events, and so you get less points for the open events. You don't have to play all the open events, but the ultimate goal is to get to the Super Cup, which would be held in, say end of January, for a big cash prize, 50 grand, something like that. You don't get paid at any of the other events. How do you feel about that?
But Super Cup pays out 1 through 10.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get 10 grand for 10th place at Super Cup. Generally,
8 grand is what he had there, but yes.
Yeah. 8.
I thought he had 10. Oh, yeah, you're right. It was 8. Yeah, I thought, generally speaking, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, more paintball.
I like the points race. I think that creates some excitement where, if you're struggling to make it, you have other chances to go play more events to, replace your lower scores. I like, the fact that there's the 3 big majors. So they keep that. We can still have that, World Cup experience, that NXL experience at those 3 events. I like, I think the idea is those 6 opens, maybe 2 West, 2 Central, 2 East sort of deal. So there's going to be some more local tournaments close to you. So you could play 3 NXL events in your region, right? 3 drivable events.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good idea. So I think it works on a lot of levels. It's I think I told Tom it's the best idea he's had in a long time.
Yeah, Tommy, way to go, baby.
I think it. I think it makes paintball. I think more teams can play. I think more teams can be caught up in the race. I think that last event where you have 50 grand payouts down to $8,000 payouts. I think that's exciting for the teams playing and and everyone watching, right? Like when you're playing for a $50,000 cash prize.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's only happened, a couple times in the sport, and Dynasty's won them all.
Yeah.
We won the 50 grand in Miami, and we won the Mustangs as Cap Factory. I think those are probably the 2 biggest prizes in paintball.
And then we won the Valken Cup, which was like 30 grand or something.
I think that was 25 grand, maybe.
25, yeah. I was like, when we won
a cup. I think MPPL had $25,000 first prizes for a few events.
And you guys won everything.
We probably didn't win all those, but we definitely got the card for 50 grand.
Yeah. The Dynasty bank account used to be lit.
Yeah. The thing is, the team never, even with all the money coming in, it was never run for profit. It was always put it back in by doing more events, put it back in by paying the guys better.
That's not what Ryan told me. He told me Angel Fregosa was copping new Jordans at the local Foot Locker. On the Dynasty card.
That's probably why he didn't have a Dynasty card for more than like 2 events. But so I believe that, but I'm telling you, literally every penny was blown on paintball.
There we go.
All right. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, if you had it all to do over again, you probably would have done it differently. And we had talked anyway. That's a whole other story.
But then we might not be here.
We might not be here, and everything we learn from everything, and but I think it's a good idea. I think it will keep what most people like about the NXL and tournament paintball. I think it might get more teams involved. I think it'll make a more exciting event at the end of the year, and I think adding that extra event in January is offset by the fact that you have more flexibility to which events you go.
You're talking about the price is offset, right?
Well, not just the prizes. I'm actually talking about
price. The price.
Yeah, the cost of attending the event. Yeah, so there's a sixth event potentially, but you could qualify by only going to the 3 majors, or the 3 majors and then the 2 regional, which the 2 opens, but the ones closer to you.
Sure.
So you're saving money. You're spending more on the 6th event, but you're making up for it going to those regionals or the local ones. So.
And also, you get paid at the Super Cup for just being in the event. You're guaranteed a payout.
Yeah, in the pro division, and I'm sure the divisionals would have a similar sort of structure.
I'm just curious. I'm curious if, because say Russians win the very first event, and they say, "Well, we qualify for the Super Cup. We're not even going to come to the next one." That kind of stinks.
Well, I think they're gonna. From what I gathered, they were gonna require you to attend the 3 majors.
The 3 majors,
that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
So yes, you could attend as a pro team, or probably other divisions. You could attend the 3 majors and be done.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Although, like we were just talking about, playing tournament paintball.
Yeah.
There's nothing that replaces that. I mean, you can practice and run drills and scrimmage, but if Dynasty did that, I would argue that we should play at least some of the later events to to stay tuned up, right? Because you don't want to show up at Super Cup and get your shit pushed in.
Be flat and just get stomped on. No way, dude.
Everyone else has been grinding.
Yeah, that's something we do talk about a lot. Is the more tournaments. That's why, when Impact was doing really well a couple years ago, they were playing both leagues, over here and in Europe. And I'm like, that really is the recipe. And I think once we started being able to go over and play with the Expendables and then Golden State Kings, that helped Dynasty get a lot closer, because it was mostly Dynasty guys that were playing with both those teams over in Europe. And it makes such a big difference because you're exactly right. you cannot replace tournament experience. You just can't. There's no way around it. You cannot replace that feeling of being in a tournament, the pressure, the situations, the clock awareness, everything that you have to deal with.
Tournament rep.
Tournament paint. Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
how much different is that than your average practice?
Oh, right. Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no matter how good your paint, you know, if you don't have refs, if you don't have the paint, if you're not taking care of the paint, it's a different thing, right? Like,
yeah, we're always we're like, damn, these guys are good out here. And then we get to the tournament, we're like, okay, we're kind of holding our own now. You know what I mean? But it's like sometimes it's at practice, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's just, you know, when you're playing a tournament, there is no room. You can't say, oh, I'll try this next time, right? Like, that's the thing, and it's your best effort, and you find out if that's good enough.
My favorite thing is in practice when you're shooting a lane, and you shoot it the whole day, and you never shoot the guy, and you're like, I swear that lane was on, and then you do drills with the team, you do like 15 reps, shoot him like 80% of the time because it's your own guy out there. You know, he's like, yeah, you're hitting me pretty solid. Like, yeah, I knew it, man. You know?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's just a different different thing. And sometimes it's the paint, right? Sometimes the tournament paint's not the greatest, or the practice paint's not the greatest, and sometimes people want to get their practice. You know, like it's. Yeah. Is it practice in getting shot off the break? I'll just stay in.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there we go,
Crandall, did you cheat a lot back in the day in the woods? You did, didn't you?
I wouldn't wipe hits, no.
No, not Crandall.
You would just let the tree branch wipe the hit.
Yeah, you would never use your hand.
Yeah, I mean, if I was hit and if I thought I might be hit and then it wasn't there later for some reason, I mean, I wasn't going to come out for that.
Yeah, that's the rules. That's the way it works.
But I wouldn't wipe it. That'd be cheating. That'd be bad.
That's disrespectful.
You're right. That's the worst. That's the worst. That's the worst of them all.
When they look at you and then just drop that hand across the lens and take it off, and then you're like, oh, boy.
As long as they fess up, I'm actually good with that. As long as they fess up later when you're like, you wipe that. And they're like, yeah. Right? That was something I could always respect about like Rich Telford or Chris Lasoya. Yeah, they do you dirty, but they'd 100% say I did you dirty. Yeah, dude, you had me. You shot me fucking 8 times. I shot you. Your other guy shot me 8 times. Then I shot him. You're like, okay. Dude, I mean, that's what I saw too. Cool.
That's what I saw too.
As opposed to the guys who are like, no way, man. I was clean. You didn't hit me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right.
Yep, dude.
Not that Rich or Chris cheated, but if they would have, they were the kind of guys who would own it.
That's right, dude. I'll never forget.
Why I chose them as examples.
Growing up in Modesto with Rich, we just had the most fun. Like you said, just playing paintball for the love of the game. And like, yeah, maybe we would, you know, when you're younger, you play these crazy different styles of paintball. You're like kind of Terminator style where you go and you just get shot a bunch and run around and shoot each other. It's obviously not tournament style. It's just playing paintball and running around and having fun. But there's so many timeless stories that we all have in this game. And it's because of the great people like the dudes that you just named off. You know, we just have the best characters in the world that play this crazy sport.
Guys who used to have ponytails down to their asses. That's what I was talking about.
That's it, dude.
Lasoya is a legend. Tyler, are you gonna seal that deal or what? We need to get him on the show ASAP. Do I need to hit him up? Do we need to send the enforcers in? Let's get that on. Let's get it going.
I don't know who you're talking to right now.
Yeah. I'm talking to you, baby.
Did either of you ever see Rich with his pony?
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, Rich had a long ponytail.
And he'll knock your face in. Dude, he is Rich comes from a rowdy background. That's my dude. And there was like a dojo in Modesto, and there's a bunch of like, you know, fighters and everything. So it's a pretty rowdy group of dudes, and they definitely like to have fun and play some ball. That's for damn sure.
I love that.
Yeah, man, the roots right there. That's the NorCal ball, baby. So let's dive into Field One, man. I want to talk about the company. I want to talk about the trials.
Company.
The trials and tribulations of doing what you guys have done here. So for people who don't know, they acquired the company from Bob Long, who is a legend in the game, and have completely revamped it, rebranded, and making some of the best paintball markers in the world. How did this all start? Can you kind of drop us into the beginning? So Bob called you and was like, yo, you want to buy this baby or what? Because he was
basically, I forget what we were talking. We were talking about something. Either I called him or he called me about something else. And then he was like, you want to buy me? And I was like, I was actually at a point where I was looking at a couple other opportunities, and I was like, I mean, I don't know, what's going on. And he told me, and I was like, all right, well, let me come up and talk to you and have a look. And so I did that, and then I did it again and again, and we got closer and closer, and we figured something out. It was like you said, when I got into paintball, Bob was the guy. Like I wrote a poem about him in 7th grade about him in the Ironman. Yeah, no shit. For a school project.
Did it just talk about slaughtering?
Recite it.
I have most of it. Bob Long with gun in hand, the King Kong, leader of the paintball band. Bob yells to his team, "Run for the flag! I'll fire a ream and take out the guy with the auto mag."
Whoa!
Bob went right, the sniper left, the something deep. I could probably find it someplace, but yeah, that was it. That was like seventh grade English.
Oh my God. What time is this on the show?
I've got it, 128. 128.
Dude, that is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Probably 7th grade, 7th grade.
And like when I was
he was the guy.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so cool. And for people who don't know, Bob Long was like a legendary bow hunter as well, and kick ass on the paintball field. Had some bow hunting legends as well. I would stay at his house when I was like, 13, 14, 15. They would make me sleep in this room of death. It was insanity. There was probably 70 or 80 heads everywhere, all around, and you got to sleep with all these dead animals. It was insanity.
Yeah, he's like a world record, world champion bow hunter.
Yeah. And I had to sleep. I had to sleep with all of his victims in that room, dude. Oh my God.
The
slaughterhouse. So that is amazing. And Bob is in NorCal still. He lives up in the woods up in there like a bear does, and
a little bit, but doing well.
Yes, he is. Yeah. I know. I'm hoping to have him on the show here soon. I want to hear his stories as well and kind of pick his brain.
Bob has some great stories.
Yeah. And so once you guys acquired the company, what was your guys' first plan of attack? How did you guys navigate?
Well, we wanted to come out with a new gun. Bob hadn't done anything new in a few years, and there were things we wanted to do. So we sat down and we're like, okay, let's come out with this new gun next year.
It'll be super easy. We'll just come
super easy and super quick, and we'll be ready to roll. Maybe even by the end of the year.
That's right.
Everything went according to plan, and the gun was great, and that was that. Only it took 3.5 years, or whatever it took.
But I'll tell you what, those first ones still shot money, and we had them all taped up. I still remember the practices and everything, and it was exciting. I remember the look in Yosh's eye and Alex's eye. We're like, dude, this is your baby, man. Like, you guys are doing this. This is your gun that you're making. Did you guys ever expect to be in the industry like this? Like, I mean, probably not, I would imagine. I don't know.
It was always, well, not always. At some point, so Dynasty did we obviously had gun sponsors all throughout.
That's right.
And, Smart Parts, they made some Dynasty shockers, and they sold a lot of those, and Eclipse was making Dynasty Egos and Geos, and they were selling a lot of those. So at some point, I realized, and I'm sure others did too, like, paintball guns seems like a decent thing. And we'd sort of had conversations with different people. So when Bob mentioned it, it was like, okay, this is something like I've sort of thought might be a good thing. And I thought it might be a good way to keep, ensure Dynasty's longevity.
That's right.
Like, sponsorship's a big part of it. Other people's sponsorship is unpredictable, and you can't control. Obviously, if you have your own company, then having a factory team makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also a way to ensure or try to ensure that those guys who like Yosh and Ryan, who spent their lives doing this, maybe had something waiting for them at the end, right? Because the retirement plan for a professional paintball player,
non-existent.
It's questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very
It is non-existent. That's true. I was trying to be a little nicer about it. We don't want to scare off these kids who want to be professional paintball players.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. It's not non-existent. It is absolutely not non-existent. Exhibit A, you in the top left corner here. Actually, I don't know how it saves in the YouTube, but
Yeah.
a lot of players that think about it wisely, they do insert themselves in the industry and they end up working for companies and pursue careers outside. It's not non-existent.
This is
Well,
true.
retirement plan. Yes. Are there maybe other opportunities? And so that's what I saw this as, is maybe that opportunity for some of these guys to, transition into something.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're right, it's not non-existent. There is a retirement plan. It's just, it's not on the paintball field anymore, obviously. And
Right.
and you better be pretty savvy.
We don't have a 401k or anything like that going.
No. So you got to be savvy. You got to create. You got to, brand yourself. You got to do all these things that we talk about on the show, and be a presence in your space, and be catchy and have a good energy that you're putting out, and it'll reciprocate. But you have to be savvy, and you have to really attack. You have to go for it. It's not going to land in your lap, like Marcelo said. You don't have a 401k for this, baby. So
No pension.
That's right.
I don't know though, Ty. I think after the last, I think maybe we can start requesting 401k.
We're about there.
We're almost there. Sure. We're almost there.
A couple more years. We'll be right there.
More.
Yeah.
I love it.
Keep working hard, dude. That's all there is to it. So after that, you guys start creating this monster. What are some of the early hurdles of building a paintball gun, that you guys are like, oh my God, maybe we're in too deep here?
Well, yeah, the timing. So we came up with our sort of wish list, the things we wanted to make sure of. And those were things like, I think number one was soft on brittle paint, going back to how important we feel the paint is.
Yeah.
The guns we tested, we were pretty happy with, but we felt like there was probably more that could be done. So we made some changes to try to make the guns even better on brittle paint.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been really happy with the results of that.
It's been phenomenal. And you guys have shot a lot of paintball guns throughout the entirety of the lineage of Dynasty. So you've been able to have your eyes on a lot of different styles. You've probably shot just about every different style or been able to take it apart and see what's going on there. So you did have a really good, advantage there, being able to have worked with so many gun companies over the years.
Yeah, and also, like we talked about Great American Paintballs. When Richard used to make paint, he'd make it specifically for that event, and he was really sparing no expense in making the paint, which is something that's changed.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be able to shoot paint that would break from knee height, and that was a thing that was possible.
That's right.
So yeah, that was a big part of it, and something we want to do. We also, given how much, you guys are both great examples of this, but how much different guys travel and are places. It's one thing to be at an NXL event where there's a tech in the pit with you and all that, but some of you guys are playing every weekend, and you're in Brazil and Australia and New Zealand and Mexico and Honduras and Malaysia and wherever, and your gun's got to work, and if it doesn't work, it's got to be something that you can just slap some lube on or some O-rings in and make it work, right? Because you don't have that tech there. So making it super reliable, easy to deal with, was a big part. Was the next thing, and that was something that Bob's guns weren't always. Some of them to some extent, but that was never his focus.
How fast can we get it going?
There you go. I remember talking to Bob at every event. He'd be like, "Hey, come see this gun. I can shoot 36 balls a second." Like, how do you even have a loader? He's like, "No, this loader, we got this in it. It can do it. Come look, right?" Like, I could shoot 2,600 rounds off a 40 cubic inch tank.
Welcome to my world, Cran. I was in there, dude.
Bob was about like, let's push the envelope. Let's pick something and just fucking blow it out of the water, right? Let's make the lightest paintball gun ever. Let's make the most air efficient paintball gun ever. Let's make the fastest shooting paintball gun ever. And he did all that.
That's right.
So made really good guns, but they weren't always the easiest, most reliable. Which is, the nature of race cars. So because we were starting with that kind of technology, though, it was in a lot of ways easier to dial it back and say, okay, how can we take some of these things and make them more reliable? Make it where, you can not take the gun out of your gear bag between events and just know that it's going to work when you go play with it again.
Because Bob was a mad scientist, man. He was always like I remember seeing Bob always critiquing, doing these little shifts, new design here, this, and to have that kind of fall in your lap is pretty nice, man. Like his work, the years of work that he did prior, you were able to use that and build off. And it's like I still am with Bob Long. It's like my career has come full circle because I'm still shooting. It's the lineage of his name, which is amazing. And I'm super honored for that as well, which is like when I think about that and how it all came full circle, it just blows me off my feet. I'm like, wow, I'm still shooting this gun all these years later.
Yeah. So those were two of the big things we wanted to do. We're real fortunate that the engineer Bob had been working with, this guy, Jason Henley, super smart, knows paintball really well, super passionate about it, and was able to bring to life sort of, what we wanted. And, like you guys were saying, those first prototypes were pretty close to what you guys are shooting today, to the production. I mean, there were a few little changes, but for the most part, they worked really well. And, so the first stab at it was pretty successful, which, if you've seen some of these other companies come out with new guns, beyond the, Eclipse has obviously figured it out, and Lux Smart Parts, who are, GOG, I think is what they're called.
That's right.
Beyond some of those guys, there's been some pretty big swings and misses. So it isn't the easiest thing. And so we owe a lot of that to both Bob and Jason. And then of course you guys, because the other resource we had is you guys playing paintball constantly. Like you guys we worked it out, like how many paintballs we figured each player shot just practicing and playing the NXL. And then you throw Millennium on there and you throw whatever on there. And it's like, it's an insane amount of paint that those prototypes got shot. And then all the conditions, right? The rain, the mud, the hot, the cold, the this, the that.
And they even worked no matter, like we played in some crazy conditions. I remember using it and it was kind of taped up. Like it was like the prototype style and it was still shooting better than some of the other, top level guns out there that were going down or having this problem. And I was like, all right, we're still humming over here. And that's one of the greatest things about Field One is that the reliability. I can always count on that thing to send a nice shot out. You said something interesting. There was a huge shift. GI morphed into a new company name. Is that right?
What's Smart Parts
or Smart GOG? Okay.
But GI also did. They're now called
Core Outdoor, but I think they're still GI.
Okay.
I think Core Outdoor just owns the. I don't know.
I see the umbrella.
pretty sure GI is no more. I could be wrong, but I
GI name.
Yeah, I thought the GI name was.
Oh, okay, wow. Could be
now. Could be. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could be wrong too.
I think Core Outdoor was by. I could be wrong either.
Gotcha.
But it's basically just a big restructuring and a name change, and Brickman's back involved, and the whole.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, the umbrella.
The umbrella.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying Smart Parts is now GOG. Right?
Yeah, I'll forever call them Smart Parts.
Yeah, totally.
How could
I
you not?
Smart Parts.
Yeah.
One, I have problems with things like that, and two, they still have an SP logo. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's Smart Parts forever for sure. So
I know their name.
The building a paintball gun is a huge undertaking. Obviously, I know you guys probably have some stuff on the burner. Is there anything that we can be expecting to see coming into the future, like a new gun or anything like that you guys have cooking up?
No, we're always working on stuff, on concepts, but no, nothing super imminent. We'd love to at some point do a new Intimidator.
No way.
We're working on concepts for that, and but that's not close. And
that sounds cool though. That's awesome.
I think it will be, and we want it to be, right? But when we don't want to come out with a new Intimidator just to come out with a new Intimidator and have it be the same. If just like with the Force, right? If we come out with something new, we want it to be new and different and better and well tested and all that stuff. So
So you're saying like 3.5 years? We'll be shooting. We'll be shooting taped up Intimidators in 3.5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, the big body one.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love that idea, dude. The Intimidator is a badass gun, and to give players an option for a gun like that you could shoot 15 pods, off of a 68. Something like that would be really epic.
Yeah, no, and we think that Bob, again, on the performance side, Bob had it, right? That gun can shoot 30 balls a second. It can, it's actually pretty reliable, and incredibly air efficient, like you said. I mean, as much paint as you can carry, it can shoot. And if we can just make that thing sort of bulletproof, right, where you can just pick it up, use it, and have it work all the time without a pressure tester, without some of those things that complicate it, I think it's a home run. And I think we can bring that pop it back and have it be something that tournament guys want to shoot more than they used to, which really wasn't that long ago. When we signed with Eclipse, they asked us what we wanted to shoot. We were like, oh, we like the spools. They're like, oh yeah, we don't sell very many of those.
That's
like,
right.
That'll probably change. Like, no, we'll never sell more spools than poppets.
Mm-hmm. Now look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you keep hearing rumors they're going to discontinue it.
That's crazy. It's going to come. It's going to come full circle.
But I think we were part of that. And I could see that shifting because the poppets are great guns. You guys have both shot them.
Oh yeah.
And there's some differences, but I think some of that stuff too can be made up for in the design to have sort of the best of both worlds. So we'll see, but that's not coming anytime soon. At some point we'll do a Gen 2 Force, also not coming anytime soon. But we're learning a lot, and why we love these guns. Part of having when you're actively involved in the team side, you can't put out something that doesn't work, right? Like you can't put out something that isn't great. And we're constantly, like you were talking about, Bob, when you're in it, you're constantly tinkering and saying, hey, what happened with this? I wonder if we could do this. Could we make this gun better on this? Could we make this gun more this, right? Like,
that's right.
Because you see a direct benefit from that.
That's right.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, I'm so thankful that you guys have approached it that way, because you guys have built and taken the time and given us such a reliable product. I mean, your paintball gun, your paint, those are the two most important things.
That's it.
you got to be able to shoot people, and then, loader is third most important. Got to feed right. But that's the whole name of the game. You got to be able to have reliable equipment. And if you don't, you're at a disadvantage, and that's something that you just can't have in the game. You talked about it earlier, Crandall. I mean, stuff comes down to one ball, right? Comes down to one ball. Winning and losing comes down to one paintball. One paintball leads to a point leads to a match leads to a tournament. And it couldn't have been said any better. But having a good, reliable gun is so crucial. And you guys have, I hope you guys don't change it for a little while. Like, I want to keep this thing, this thing.
No, we're not changing it anytime soon. And that's, again, part of the business model, like people have come out with guns every year. Like, that's not us. We can't make the guns that fast, right? Like, these guns are made here. Every one of these guns is basically assembled and tested and everything by Alex and Yosh. So we can only do so many, like we're that small boutique handmade, thing. And,
that's right.
I love that, dude.
Yeah, there's not a ton we're gonna change, and it takes us longer, and we're not ordering containers from Taiwan like most of these other guys are. So it's it's a different experience, and you might have to wait longer for ours. But if you want made in the U.S., handcrafted, I don't know. I think people there's a customer out there that wants and not to knock these other guys' guns, because all these other companies, especially the ones I've talked about, I feel like make a great product.
Yeah.
It's just different, it's buying the mass produced versus the handcrafted, and everyone likes something different.
It's like the shoe game, kind of. There's like these custom shoes and all that kind of stuff that people pay top dollar for, and they're the hottest shoes. You can't find them though. It's a little bit harder to get a hold of, but man, they are the best shoes. I mean, they're the most valuable shoes, and it's kind of the same ball game that you guys have here. And I love the passion that you guys all have for the company. Like, when I see Yosh and Alex at the field, I just see the love. I see the love, man. I see the passion for the growth of the company, all the little details you guys are working to hammer out. And it's special to watch, to be able to watch this whole thing have been born and watch you guys just keep chipping away at it. And now 20th anniversary, we have the Field One World Champion, celebration. It's just crazy how it's all turned out. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, every one of these guns is made with love. Like I said, they're put together by professional paintball players and tested by professional paintball players. And if you call the shop with a question or a problem, you're going to talk to one of the owners. And we care about your question or your problem. We might not tell you what you want to hear, but we care. You're not talking to a call center. You're not talking to a minimum wage guy. You're talking to an owner of the company. And like I said, when you get your gun, you can know that, and they actually sign a little card about who tested it and who built, Yosh built and tested this gun, or Alex built and tested this gun. And
that's so badass, dude. I love that.
It's the coolest thing in the industry. It's
the coolest thing unless they're shooting how they want them to shoot, it's just the way it is.
And they're never going to send something out that's subpar. They're going to have that thing dialed in for you. I know when I send my gun to the spa, that baby comes back humming. I'm like, oh, she's looking good right now.
I love when she goes to the spa. Dang it. Yeah. I need to send her up there. Oh, it's so nice when the gun goes to the spa.
Yeah, because they care, man. And it's it's an amazing company to be a part of. It's been cool, dude. It's been cool to watch the whole thing be born, and I cannot wait for the future of Field One. And it must be amazing for you to be able to work with two of your best friends.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, coming to work every day is something I enjoy, right? I get to come hang out with Alex and Yosh, right? And we get to talk about paintball and fantasy football and, make paintball guns and talk to paintball people on the phone and,
Awesome.
Dude, you guys still won't let me in that damn league.
Sorry, bro.
Come on, man. Are you guys that afraid?
Oh.
It's only for people who understand fantasy football. I've had some conversations with you.
I will dominate you guys in fantasy football. You probably thought this was Kyle again. You want to talk sports? Let's go. We could do this all day. Come on now. You probably thought this was Kyle again. I see how your mind works. Come on, Crandall. Come play that game with me. Let me in there. You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out.
Hey, if someone drops, we can talk about it.
So how does it work?
Cool league.
Yeah.
It's a keeper league. So it started out 8 teams. We did expand it to 10 people not that long ago. Can't really go above 10, I think.
You can do 12. No, because it's a 2 quarterback.
We do it, yeah. So it's keeper. You get contracts. There's a salary cap. So it's just a little more challenging. There's more going on. 2 quarterbacks. So that makes the quarterback pool with 10 teams, 2 quarterbacks, pretty shallow, which is nice.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
Yeah. 18 player rosters. Again,
sounds really fun. I've been trying to get in there for 5 years.
Yeah, Marsh, sounds fun, dude.
It's crazy. Sounds so fun. Tyler, we need to start our own league.
Who usually wins it? Who's the dominator in your league?
So this year's playoffs are me.
Yeah,
I played Daryl Trent in the semis, and Ryan is playing Yosh in the semis.
Yoshi.
Damn, Ryan made it. Every single week he was like, "I'm done. My season's over."
So the last week, Yosh needed to beat Adam Gardner from Smart Parts GOG. For Ryan to get in, and he beat him by 1 point.
Oh dang! There we go. There we go, Rin.
Next weekend, Dynasty Magic, dude. Yep. That's that World Cup.
You literally squeaked in by 1 point.
Gonna win it.
That's great,
dude. That sounds fun.
I mean, who usually wins it? It's a pretty competitive league, and there's a pretty good mix of guys in there.
Sounds like some great guys. Sounds awesome.
I think Davey and Frank Connell finished 1st and 2nd last year.
Frank the Tank doesn't play around.
Yeah, Frank's pretty good. Actually, Frank, Adam, some of these Daryl, some of these East Coast Smart Parts guys are in like 10 leagues and spreadsheets to keep track of which team they're in. I mean, these guys are insane.
That's awesome.
It is too much.
Yeah.
Well, one day, I know that I am next on. At least that's what Yosh tells me. Maybe he just tells me what I want to hear. But I feel like I'm next on the list if a spot opens because I've been knocking, knock at the door for a long time. I want to be in that league.
We've never had anyone drop out. So,
but you're next on the list.
but next on the list. I mean, you guys realize how old you're getting now. I don't wish bad on anyone, but you're like happy.
Daryl, Adam, like Frank, those guys. Although Frank's only fucking 2 years older than me. Can you believe that?
Frank the Tank?
Frank Connell's like 2 or 3 years older than me.
Dude, legend.
How old are you, Crandall? Let the people know.
43.
43.
Dude, you're a young man. Yeah.
Young man.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Love that.
But yeah, some of these guys, you're right. You could be, you could get a spot.
Crandall.
I mean, gosh, I don't know. I won't hold my breath. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I gave up like a year ago. I just kind of joke with Yosh about it now.
Does Alex tell funny jokes in the office quite a bit? Keep you guys giggling, or is he? No.
That's just, Tyler. That's just a show joke. He puts on around people.
No, he's a showman. He's a showman.
Yeah, he loves the entertainment. He turns it on, steps it up. You guys know.
Yeah. You know? He makes my stomach hurt. I laugh so hard sometimes hanging out with Alex. He's just one of the funniest dudes I've ever met in my life. Have such a big space in my heart for Al. Hope him and his beautiful wife are doing well as well out there. I'm sure that Al's going to tune in on this one. And Al, I love you, dude. Congratulations. And yeah, man, keep moving forward, baby.
He might have been one of the. Well, it's not fair to say actually. Obviously, Crandall, before I played for the team, I didn't really have a relationship or know you at all. But Alex was one of the biggest ones where even the first event that I guessed with you guys on Dynasty, like he was just one of the people that it's like, man, I want to be on the same team as that guy. He makes every experience so much better. Yosh, Ryan, Oliver, like the four horsemen, obviously. Yeah. They will always be the culture of Dynasty, and they've shed that and left part of that with the rest of the team, which is amazing. But major shout out to all the guys. Let me in the damn fantasy league. Okay.
Start your own with some of these guys,
You're right. I think we will. We'll start our own league. It's going to be much better. It's going to be called Play the Fantasy.
Play the Fantasy. There you go. Love it.
Crandall, I want to ask you, obviously somebody who clearly has an eye for talent and has been around one of the most winningest organization in paintball history. What do you look for in young players? Like if you're scouting a player trying to work their way up through the ranks and they want to get on Dynasty, what are some major things that you are going to look for?
So the stuff so let me not answer your question first and say my best advice is to play as much paintball as you can against the best competition you can find. And that will get you noticed. I mean, if you're, capable, people will start noticing that you're the best guy on the team. You're the one winning games. You're the ones making moves. And that'll get you picked up by the next level and the next level and the next level. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the guy who's out there winning games for his team. The guy who's making moves, getting kills, and again, the guy who's winning, the guy who's making those plays, making those moves, making those decisions, and doing that consistently. I don't know that Dynasty is the best organization for scouting talent, unfortunately. I mean, I'm going to be honest. We miss more than we hit. I think on that, even with like established. I mean, like looking at the back of Tyler's shirt. I mean, I can tell you amazing players who played on our team and
we're not good on Dynasty. Yeah. Archie, Chad George, a lot of those players when they came when they came and played for Dynasty, they didn't have good seasons. And it seems like when they had left the team, they started to flourish for whatever reason.
It's Alex Frazier, of course.
I mean, Chad's a great example. Guys I watched Chad play a lot for the Philly Americans, and I was like, dude, this guy is good. He is always up there in it. He's, up at the X. This was back when it was X ball winning games. He's up and down the snake winning games. Like this guy just gets in the mix and shoots people and wins games for his team consistently.
That's what you need. You got to have
absolutely. For the couple years he played for us, he didn't like to do that. And then he got picked up by, I think, Impact, which was great because we never cut anybody. So, and then he went and was like, man, how did he get good again?
Yeah.
It can be really hard to play for Dynasty. It really can. You got a lot of players that you've won more than, the Four Horsemen have won more than anybody in paintball. they've won more tournaments than anybody in paintball. They know a lot about the sport, and there's like as a matter of fact way sometimes, and it can be hard to come in and find your groove. You
have to be mentally tough, I think, because you can go run down the field, shoot 3 guys, and have Alex come up to you and be like, hey, next time you need to do this. And then Ryan come up to you and say, hey, next time do this. And it's totally contrary to what Alex just told you. And then someone else say a third thing and no one said fucking good job. And you just got 3 different things. And you're like, your head's fucking spinning going, what the fuck? I just thought I did good and shot 3 guys. And I got 3 different guys telling me I fucked up in 3 different ways. And I don't even know what I'm supposed to do now.
Yeah. But it's also the 3 different guys that you looked up to for most of your career, and you're like, wait, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. So you have to be confident and tough enough to know that everything that all 3 of those guys told you is right? Like Alex saw something that you
right. Mm-hmm.
Alex saw something that you didn't see, or that, he saw from his perspective, and something you could have done better. And Ryan saw something else that you could have done differently or better. And whoever saw something else you could have done differently and better. So if you can take that and say, okay, if you don't need the rah, great job, great effort, and can take that and not have your head fucking spinning because you just got told 3 different things from 3 different people, I think you can grow and become a better, smarter paintball player. If you can't, I think you're just fucking lost and
you're doing it for the wrong reason. Yeah.
So no, it's not doing it for the wrong reasons. It's just a different thing. When you
just want to get congratulated.
3 different things. And Dynasty has a unique culture and is like a family, but families fight, families yell, families argue. And while I think Dynasty's yelling is constructive yelling, it's fighting over what you should or shouldn't have done or what the better thing is. It can be, it's just different. And again, I think what's probably hardest for people is the multiple people involved, right? You just don't have one person coming to you saying, hey, this is this. You have, because you're coming up with a game plan. You got Ryan saying this and Yosh saying this and Alex saying this and you're saying that, and you're arguing over what the best thing is. And you're saying, no, this is better because if you do this, then you can't do this. And they're saying, no, 1,000%, that guy can't shoot you. This guy can shoot you. And in the end, 2 hours later, you probably come up with the best plan for that situation.
Totally.
And we're having these conversations about, well, what if this guy makes this move from here and there's nobody in the God and he gets into the California? What do we do? You have a fucking 3-hour conversation about what you need to do in that situation.
Totally. But that's where that progression comes right there.
Right. But that's, for a lot of people, it's
heavy.
That's hard, especially when it's happening at the field and they're getting those 3 different opinions about what to do when they get in that situation.
Well, I only hope that when I run through and get a 3-pack that people are critiquing me, because that's the path. That's kind of what I meant by doing it for the wrong reasons. Like, if you're doing it for the pat on the back, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It should be all about progression, right? And that's the one thing that I am so grateful for inside the Dragon's Den, dude. These guys will eat you alive. They'll roast you. You know what I mean? And that's good. That's what you need to be the best version of yourself. We're not doing it for pats on the back. We're doing it for champs, for championship patches. That's what we're doing it for. So if you want those patches and those trophies, you gotta be critiquing all the time.
Dalton Vanderbilt once said, I think it was after his big move in Vegas.
He said, don't do anything and win everything.
No. Oh, that was before World Cup. It was before a big move on Sunday. But no, he said, I only make moves out there for high fives from you guys.
Yeah, that's right.
I laughed, but Dalton's a different character. I absolutely love Dalton. Yeah, Dalton. I
He's
love
the
him
best
but,
of all time.
Crandall, I want to dive back into that question though, because I think you answered it more so, which might have been more for like the way that I asked. I guess it was if somebody's trying out for Dynasty, but I'm looking more for our average listener, right? Players that are, again, just trying to, so like if a player came to a pro practice and is trying out for our team, you're not going to expect him to be the one going to win the games with no experience in that situation, right?
I hope so.
Like, I guess what kind of qualities do you look for? Yeah, I know you hope so, but the reality is that that's not going to happen. You know, you need experience to go and do that, to step from the semi-pro division to the pro division, or any division of the pro division, and go and be able to just single-handedly win multiple games. You know, you might have a point or two throughout the day.
If I'm watching a D3 guy, that's the guy you're looking for and going, this guy has it, right? Like whether it's from the back center or down the rear or mistake, like this is the guy who is consistently
the winner. You know,
right, putting the team on his back and making the moves. And it's not just 1 point, not just one match, like match to match, game to game. This guy is clearly the best player on his team.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got to be a go-getter. He's got to be getting it.
I mean, and I was gonna say your team can't survive with all guys like that, and that's not necessarily true. And that's another thing that made Dynasty special, and I think still does. You know, like using you as an example, March. Like, you know, you came. Who did you come to us from? The Iron Man.
Iron Man. Yep.
You know, but you know, you were the top gun on Russians and this. You know, like when you put all-star teams. I think Miracle, they talk about this. The movie, the hockey movie, all-star teams fail because they're not working as a team, right? So you can take the 5 best players, and that may not be the best team because you need guys who are willing to do jobs, you know. And that was a tricky thing with Oliver, right? Like I remember 7-man days, like they'd make a game plan for 6 guys because they knew they couldn't count on Oliver to do one specific thing, and it'd be like, okay, Oliver's going to do whatever, and the 6 of us are doing this. And that wasn't always the case. I mean, I also remember winning tournaments where Oliver's like, I'm going to fucking take 20 pods to this spot and shoot this way and not let anyone.
That's right.
That was later in his career, though.
Later in his career, you're right.
He evolved and decided to show the world that he could do it all. You know, but so much love for Oliver, man.
Yeah, no, I love Oliver too, but you know, he's Oliver, right? Like,
exactly.
So you know, the best players don't always make the best teams, and when you have great players, they have to be willing to work together as a team. But it's sure nice when they have that ability. Like, what I feel like, you know, you fall into a role player role on Dynasty a lot of times, but I love when you get out of that, or you're forced to get out of that and show what, you know, those skills that you have that, you know, had you be, what was the award they used to give? I feel like on the Russians, you won like the Top Kill Award or some sort of something award.
Yeah, after the events, they called it the Top Gun after events.
Top Gun.
And then they had a one at the end of the year, which I didn't ever win.
Okay.
I got 2nd and then like a 5th, something like that. I was always in the race. Never sealed the deal, though.
Gotcha.
That's not a good position to be in, huh?
All right. Well, never mind. I thought you were a good player. That explains a lot. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's and I feel like actually, if you look at World Cup, that was Ryan. Ryan got out of being, you know, the guy in the back filling in and got into being the number, you know, the first attack or one of the attackers. Yeah. And he's really good at it. And I think we're fortunate that we have a lot of guys that are really good at it. Yeah. And, you know, and maybe one thing we need to do more of is have guys like you and Ryan be quicker to get off your job and go make the move that you see is there, because you're both super capable of doing that. And yeah, it's great to have you alive and in the back and in the end, but like, you know, you guys are also in positions where you can go do that. And I think the other guys on the team are capable enough to, if they see you, you know, leave and go make a move, they can adapt and, you know, come off the attack and make sure that someone isn't running around behind us.
That's the best part about Dynasty is we're all deadly. Every single one of us, when you get us, you know, yeah, we're going to do our job and we're going to connect and make everything happen. But when it's time to go and attack and get the job done, and we're hardwired for success in that respect right there. And the fundamental aspect of it as well. I know Marcelo, myself, and everyone, we're working our asses off to be the best fundamentally sound players we can be. So it's like muscle memory. And then once you get us in these situations, it's just, you know, it's lights out. But that's from, you know, many years of play. We've been doing this for a long time. So we've been fortunate enough to see all those situations. And I just hear Alex in my head, you know what I mean? Like in all these little situations, I just hear it's like I got like Alex head coming out of my head, and he's just right there sitting right above me. And whenever something happens, I just hear him like, go, or like, like now, like, and I'm like, okay, yep. And it's been amazing to pick that up from him, because he's one of the smartest people and paintball players I've ever met. He's just and same with Yosh, and same with Oliver, same with Ryan. These guys are genius paintball players. They understand the game better than most. And it's a game. That's the thing. Like, people are like, just be the best out there, just win everything. At the end of the day, we're playing a game here. And when you are the best at that game, you're able to make better decisions. And they just understand the game so well. And man, I'm eternally grateful for being able to pick up some kernels of knowledge from all those guys, because they've got it dialed in.
Well, and so do you guys, and you guys are going to be the ones to pass it to the next generation, and and so on. But you're absolutely right. I mean,
like Dynasty, the Illuminati of paintball. You guys are the ones, dude.
But
Crandall,
but going back to your question, because I still didn't answer your question, right?
Yeah.
Not really. I was going to move on.
Which was what does a guy need to do? I mean, he's got to go. He's got to go. Well, yeah, it's true. No, he's got to go play smart, right? Yeah. And play smart and make a best effort, and not get. Look, everyone makes mistakes, right? But you have to learn from your mistakes, and that's something else I think that's unique to Dynasty, and something actually I think used to be unique to Dynasty. I feel like we've gotten away from this. So I was never very good at paintball. One of the ways that I was successful, other than playing in the woods and not coming out when I was hit, was surprising people. Big moves that surprise people. Like, I'd be out there looking at the field like, hey, I think I can make this 50 off the break. And if I get here, I can come up and I'm going to have this guy's side.
Yeah.
And so early on, with the guys, when we were playing Great Westerns or whatever, that was always part of it. And I feel like, especially early on with Dynasty, they would also be looking for those things, and they still will a little bit, but like Alex, scrambled eggs. You guys remember that thing?
Under the X to their rollie.
Yeah, I mean, it's those kinds of things where you're like, fuck, we can do this. No one else has done this on this field, but it's looking for those things going, you know what? Yeah, if they were shooting for me going there, I'd never make it, but they're not going to be shooting for me going there. So just not being afraid. And if you get the shit shot out of you, fuck it. You win for it, you get the shit shot out of you. But so not being afraid to make mistakes, learning from your mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's the big one.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what do you value more, aggression or survivability?
I value aggression more personally.
Wow. Okay. That's an important one for all the listeners, right? I know, because a lot of kids hit us up. They're like, hey, I'm trying out for a team. What should I do? And actually, that's advice that I gave is like, hey, if you're going to try out for a team, be aggressive and communicate. Like you're going to get noticed, and then just be an open ear with the coach. The coach can work with that. If you're hiding in the back and not winning every game, hiding from the back, the coach is going to hate you as a player.
Yeah, I mean, play to your strength, right? Like, you shouldn't be crazy, but yeah, I feel like aggression is harder to teach.
That's right.
It is. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
You can teach an aggressive guy who's making moves. You can teach him to back it off and be smart and when to go and when not to go. Yep. Harder to teach the when to go, when to make the move.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I think we actually.
Tyler was just talking about this on the last show.
That's right. That's exactly right, man. You're right. You cannot. It's hard to teach someone to have the nuts to get up and get shot to pieces and just make those moves.
I know it's great to have you alive at the end of the game, but it's okay if you fucking die going and picking up a guy.
All you guys got to do is put me in the role, and I'll go be the kill count leader.
There we go.
Put me in the role, baby. Get me out of the back. Get me out of there. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready. I've been saying. Thing is we have 10 Dorito guys. So when you put me over there as the one on the Dorito side, well, you'll see what happens.
Okay. You're in. You're in, buddy.
But we had you on the snake side one of these events too, I thought.
Yeah, that was good too. I will say, I'm getting old, man. My knees.
You were the one of the snake back in the day.
No, dude. I don't know why people say that. I've never played the snake as the one, other than in Division 3 with Aftermath, when I got on the Ironmen, when I was 16, 17, I was the attacker on the Dorito side. When I was on the Russians, I was the attacker on the Dorito side. I've always been a 1 on the Dorito side. Mm-hmm. Now, however, I have been on teams where I've played the 2 on the snake side a lot. On the Ironmen with like Mouse and stuff, my second time around, I played the 2 on the snake side because we had so many Dorito players again. But I've kind of always been in a position of just kind of filling the role that nobody else really wants to do.
Well, you do it really well.
I like it. I'll take it. It's okay because look, we have the best Dorito players in the game. I would go over there and I could maybe play as good as them, but we don't need that. So we need me where I am sometimes.
Well, you're the best. You're the best at what you do. That's the thing, though. It's not just that you get the spot that you nobody wants. You kick ass in it. You make shots and you're a big voice. I'll say this on the show: you have one of the best connectivity aspects in paintball of being able to connect to field. You can see on that last HK video, it even showcases that, and it's just, and that's so important for everybody out there. You need quarterbacks, and everybody should be a quarterback. We all need to be connecting, but you need that one guy who, at the end of the game, when I'm like, okay, what do we got here? And I'm like, all right, and then we holler out and get the codes, and then you get it going.
Yeah, and I think it's just, honestly, I think it's just you see the value in that because talking is fucking easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like when people don't talk, it's just because they don't care and they're lazy and they're sloppy.
Yeah. That's right.
With very few exceptions, right? Like, it's one thing if you're sneaking up there and, you can't. Right?
Yeah.
For the most part, when guys aren't talking,
that's
just ridiculous.
It is, man. It is.
It is. I do got it. Oh, for sure. But I guess I will say that I've on this team especially, I've really taken pride in communication. And there's one thing to be talking and saying what you see, right? But there is an entirely different thing going on when you're quarterbacking the situation and relaying codes that let your teammates know what advantages are there, what's not. And that comes from field awareness, which comes from experience, which is really hard. Not any player can do it. You can get, honestly, I bet you 80% of the players in the league can't communicate like the other 20% can. They don't have the knowledge to do it, and that is an important part of the team. And I've actually really enjoyed that role on team. It's a very thankless role. Very thankless. It truly is. There's no stat for that one. There's no stat. And
people hear you. You're yelling it and no one says anything. So you just hope that they're listening.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, but you have so many assists. You get assists like crazy.
I know how valuable it is because I see it unfold in front of me. I'm the one, and I'm like, yep. Hell yeah, a little pat on my own back.
That's kind of like your skill. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And you're right. It is.
Put me in an attacking position. Let's do it.
Dude, you're in. Put him in, coach. Let's
go. It's more fun. And we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. I just have always been I've always been really disciplined in whatever my role is. And sometimes it's to my detriment. I know I could play the position World Cup, actually going back and looking. I did not have a very good World Cup. I've said this on pretty much every show since World Cup. I truly didn't. There's a way to play those spots and also have the attack that becomes incredibly valuable. And that's kind of the challenge of playing a newer position. I like it. I like the challenge. And I know what is capable in those positions. You know what I mean? So I like the spot that I'm at on this team. Maybe I don't want you to put me up in the front.
It's that in between where I think, you're playing it and you're doing your job, but you're also looking for the opportunity to, to launch an attack if it's not happening. And some of that though is having confidence that when you do that, your teammates are going to see that and they're going to pick up what you dropped. Right.
Sure.
So you're not afraid to abandon your job or your role for the right move, the right opportunity, because, Tyler's going to see that happen. He's going to go, okay, Marcelo was doing this job. No one else is doing it. I got to keep my eye over there because if I don't, they're going to come running down the snake.
Yep.
That's something that Alex is so good at boosting because you'll go and make one of those moves and it totally doesn't work. Because, hey, it's okay. I like that. Close. But then Ryan will come and chew you out.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, well, I'm at a lose-lose here. How Jesus, man.
Another thing that I love that Alex says, you get shot off the break or something, or you get gogged, but you guys win the point. He's like, good job, dude. If that didn't happen to you, we might not have won that one.
I mean, he's right. They might have shot someone else instead of you. And that guy might have won the game for us.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so
the old
awesome.
wizard, dude. The old wizard.
Oh,
For the team.
that's right, dude. Hey,
all right. Go ahead, Ty.
I was just going to ask, Cran, how did you guys come up with Field One for the name so that everybody kind of knows how that all happened?
That was someone else but me because I'm not creative. But I mean, we were brainstorming names. I was perfectly happy to stick with Blast or Bob Long or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really care. But they wanted to do something new and start fresh, which I was okay with. And they liked Field One. Just that I think we have a little video talking about the origin of the name, but basically, especially early on. I mean, the pro field isn't called Field One anymore, but fields would be numbered as Field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right. Field One was typically the center field, the finals field, so that had meaning and value and some sentimental attachment to that whole Field One name. And to them, it was like the pro field, the center court where you're playing Sunday afternoon. All that stuff. So that's where that name came from.
That's awesome.
It's a great name, dude. Yeah. It's super nostalgic. I remember at Velocity growing up, it's where I grew up playing. First field I played at was Borderland, which was a historic field that they closed down. And Field One was like the best woods ball field they had there. It was the best field. And anytime we went out to Field One, and I don't know, that always to me was like an old school thing. And I think a lot of the old school ballers really appreciate that. Maybe some of the newer players don't understand it, but it has some paintball heritage for sure.
Yeah, and even at paintball tournaments, right? Like when you were in the finals, like you were then playing in Field One. It would be an airball field, and now it's center court or the pro field or whatever. But it was Field One, so that's where it came from.
I love it.
All right, so Cran, I want to ask you a few things about the league. What direction do you think professional paintball, not let's look at it as two separate things, right? Because there's what's best for a league and there's what's best for professional paintball as far as getting outside sponsors and notoriety. What do you think is the best way forward for professional paintball in order to gain outside notoriety? Maybe some outside sponsorships and to grow it that way.
I think in my experience, what outside sponsors want is the exposure, right? You have to give them value and exposure. So you got to find a way to do that. And, whether that's, in the past, when we had Intel and Rockstar and did an Activision video game, I mean, a lot of that exposure was TV related. Intel paid a company to track how much their logo was on TV when we were playing. And they could quantify, they had a formula that said, this is working, right? We're getting an ROI out of this because we had whatever minutes of stuff. And I forget if it was them or Rockstar, it could have been both. They do the paintball magazines, they do the whole thing. And they tracked all the exposures they got and they assigned a value to each thing and, knew that they were making money.
Wow.
Or not making money, but getting their money's worth, getting their benefit.
Right. Yeah.
So these companies aren't out there making donations, to whatever for sponsorship. They pay you money because it's marketing and value, just like they buy ads on TV or ads on Facebook or whatever. So paintball teams, leagues, whatever, have to figure out how to offer that value. And if that's through social media, that's great, but it's got to be quantifiable. They have to be able to look at it and say, we got this much reach from this, and that's worth this.
That's right.
And so it's a challenge. I mean, I know Rockstar left when TV went away. I mean, that was a straight up conversation we had.
Mm-hmm.
That was a long time ago, though. The internet wasn't booming the way it is now, right? So you could get those numbers from the internet. So definitely, obviously, that's what outside sponsors want. They need eyes on their product. But what can the league do or professional players, like what direction do we need to go in for that to happen, to get more eyes on what we're doing?
I think a free webcast would be a huge thing. When webcasts have been free, I know that. So
you guys
paintball
actually have been doing a free little webcast through the Dynasty Facebook page for some of the tournament, which is super awesome, man.
We try.
Hold on. You make our games free, which is amazing, but there is still cost that goes into putting on the production of a webcast. That needs to get funded. I understand.
Absolutely. But you didn't ask me about funding a webcast. You asked me about
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So totally.
So yes, and that's something, Tyler, you mentioned. One of the reasons we want those Dynasty games for free is because we place a value on, one, people being able to watch Dynasty, but two, the eyeballs and the exposure, right? Like, for those games being free, now we're getting samples of how many people can see it, how it gets shared, all that. So going back to the free webcast thing, Paintball Access, which was the PSP version, they did some free ones, and their numbers were, they were getting 100,000 plus views. The Millennium did some of those free things on Facebook where you could share. I mean, their views were off the chart for a crappy webcast, but it was free and you could share it on Facebook. I mean, the numbers we got for some of our free games on Facebook were, insane. Hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah. See, this is why with me, and I agree with you, Crandall. I'm just arguing the other side, which I also understand. So to me, I spend a lot of time thinking about this. I'm like, how can we make it work to where we can have both? We could have good quality production without somebody having to just funnel money into it for the short term. Because that's how I've always looked at it. I'm like, okay, well, if you take the loss for a couple of years, I feel like the numbers will add up. They will get there. Apparently, the people in power don't think that.
Well, it's hard to monetize it. Just because you have the numbers doesn't mean you get it. You're taking a little bit of a gamble.
Exactly. 100%. It's a
Nothing's
gamble.
Promised
that's why
there.
I think.
Yeah.
That's why I think there could be a happy medium with Ghost Sports, and I love Ghost Sports. I really do. I
their
know
production is great. Don't get me wrong. I think they do a fantastic job. But I don't love it best for paintball.
No, I agree. I would love if they moved away from the subscription format. That to me is pretty terrible. I know there's so many things where I'm like, I would much rather pay a one-time, 5 times a year, $25, even if what I'm paying that one time adds up to more than what the subscription would be. Just knowing that I can get in and get out for that weekend that I want is is a mindset kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe you make like the prelims free, or even the first round on Sunday. And then, hey, you got to pay-per-view the final 4 games.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to make both work.
Yeah. Look, I'm not knocking Go Sports in any way, shape, or form. They're putting a ton of money, offering a quality production, and they're doing what they have to do to stay afloat, to make money, to do whatever, right? I don't know exactly what their financial situation is, but
it's the best production we've ever had.
No doubt. They do a great job.
Yeah.
But I personally think what would be better for the sport, the teams, potentially getting sponsors, would be a lesser quality production that was free.
Gotcha. Okay.
It'd be great to have the same quality and be free. I just see the problem with that, right?
Yeah. I really believe you could accomplish both. I believe if you offered it free up until like the last 4 games Sunday,
I love that idea.
Not only are you going to get tons of eyes on it, you're going to get probably a lot more people that pay for it.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, I have to see this Final Four.
I don't care about the finals being free or not. I care about the paintball being out there for free as much as possible, because that's how you get the most views and the most traction. And so if they could make that work, great. It's a win-win. I don't know that they believe that, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, right? Like, I have no
either, right? I'm no expert in that whole field, but I don't know. It just kind of logically it makes sense to me.
I think that honestly, I think that's part of the reason that they're willing to do the deal with us that they do to put the Dynasty games on for free, is because they do see the value in having more games available and promoted. Because the more people that watch some are certainly more likely to watch more.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think so. So I think that's I think that's the thing. We got to get eyeballs, and
That's
television.
right.
Television, I still think offers those eyeballs, and I still think
You're not wrong, dude. Yeah.
Paintball has been successful on TV almost every time it's been on, and when I say successful, I mean it has beat the ratings for its time slot almost every time.
Nice.
Oftentimes, significantly, and oftentimes beating other professional sports.
Wow. Interesting.
So, I don't know if you guys know that. You guys remember that?
I didn't know that. Yeah. I had no clue. What
you guys
other
remember that 3-man thing they did on WGN?
I was in it. Yeah.
Okay. Rage in the Cage.
Yeah.
Out of Las Vegas.
That's right. It was crazy.
Had a great TV deal that wasn't supported by the industry at all, which is just crazy. But they would beat the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls. So they were on the same network, same kind of time slots. They would beat the Bulls.
Wow.
The ratings for the time slot.
That's crazy.
The ESPN show that they did where Dynasty won the $50,000 that got like ESPN, I think it was ESPN2, some one decent time. That beat not the Smart Parts one. I think
in Miami.
Yeah, the Miami one, the $50,000 one.
Yeah.
That one beat the ratings for the time slot, and they were actually working on doing another one. And then,
yeah.
So maybe playing for the Super Cup will, playing for $50,000 will be a big thing.
It certainly adds credibility and legitimacy to it when you're talking to people about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And saying, hey, this event is this, and yeah, I mean, maybe we can do a free webcast there, or something. But
I love the idea. Like, I'd never heard that, Marcelo. I think that's a pretty solid idea, dude. Like, and it's enticing too. You're like, I can't not watch the finals now, and people are gonna be like, it just lures you right in.
Lures you in, and tons of people get free paintball. You don't have to pay for the finals if you don't want to. You're not married to anything.
Yeah.
But look, you get tons of free paintball. If you want to watch the Final Four, guess what? You got to pay, I don't know, $9.99, whatever the number they come up with. But
yeah,
I mean, it seems like a win-win to me. It seems like a win-win.
Well, but they're getting this $7 a month or something. That's so.
It would probably be $24.99. That's what Paintball Access used to charge per event. $24.99. I mean, look,
we'll do it for $19.99. We'll do.
You need to make people care in order to pay for something. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
I always, when we talk about this topic, I always bring it back to the first UFC chick fight that I ever watched, and I paid $100 for, and it was 16 seconds, and I was happy as hell. And it was Ronda Rousey, and the only reason I never cared to watch girls fight, and no offense, I just didn't. I was uneducated that they were so talented and good. I had no clue. But I saw all of the buildup and the commercials leading up to this fight between Betch Correia, I think she was a Brazilian chick, and Ronda Rousey, and the way they were talking shit to each other, all the free content that was just funneled into all of us. I said, I have to buy that fight. And I paid $100. It lasted 16 seconds, and Ronda Rousey knocked her out or tapped her out. I think she tapped her out.
Mm-hmm.
But I was stoked. I was so happy because I hated Betch Correia the way she acted. I was emotionally invested in this.
Yeah.
We have to give stuff away for free in order for people to learn about it and care, to want to pay.
Well, you're right. And I mean, you're right also on the making people care with the storytelling. I mean, that was something, and I don't know that that's done as well as it could be at this point, and I don't know that it's necessary. But it's really easy. If you ask people pregame, what do you think your chances are this game?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question that the answer is really telling as far as what this person's attitude is, right? Oh, we got these guys. They're they got no chance, or it's a good team, and you want to give people reasons to care. And those pre and post game quick interviews, as long as you ask the right questions, can give you that and help give you an insight into the personalities, and love them or hate them. Yeah. It doesn't matter as long as they feel something about them, right? We want you rooting for or against someone.
That's right.
And that's the stuff that
though, not behind the Go Sports paywall.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
and that's the stuff that's especially important when more people are watching, right? Unfortunately, Go Sports, the 7,000 people or 10,000 people or whatever who subscribe to that are serious paintball fans, and they care, but they also probably know most of those stories. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's anyways, it is what it is. Go Sports is great. It would be great to get it to more people. And I understand their issue, right? It doesn't fund itself, so
That's right.
100%. Yeah, that question was not intended to by in any way
Yeah.
tear down Go Sports. I love what Go Sports does. I appreciate. I mean, from top to bottom, especially like Cena. I know the work that they all put in to go the extra mile to bring even better and higher quality content, way beyond what they're paid to do. You know, I know all of these things, so it's not by any means to, but it is to have conversation about how we can make it better, right? We talk about the same thing. If we run through the center and shoot 3 people, I want criticism. You know, I want to figure out how we can still get better, because the reality is paintball is not a mainstream big sport. You know, we have cornhole is on ESPN before us right now. You know? So like, I want to know why. I know what we have.
And like I said,
Have you ever played cornhole, man?
I'm good at cornhole, baby. I like cornhole. That's great.
But it's not because it hasn't been successful on TV before. That's the thing, and that's the thing that drives me insane. Is almost every time it's been on TV, it's been a success, at least from so they know what the normal ratings for the time slot are.
Yeah.
So if you beat that, you're doing okay. And paintball has almost always beat that, if not always. I actually struggle to think of a time where that wasn't the case.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I never knew that. That's amazing. That's awesome.
News to me. I thought it did horribly, and that's why it wasn't on.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I believe.
No, I can tell you the sad story about just about all the shows and why they're not on TV anymore.
Oh, boy.
Well, let's hear one.
Yeah.
The ESPN one was 7 man. I want to know, because that's the one that everybody goes back to and really remembers. Yeah. The ESPN one, actually, Mikey, our teammate, Mikey Arena, was just saying that he saw Tyler on ESPN, and that was a big thing that inspired him to play paintball.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was great. That one was funded by, they got Vault Energy Drink to sponsor it. Marketing company, I want to say it was GMR that put that together, that put that deal together with the airtime and Vault. So the MPPL didn't pay anything for that.
Wow.
That was all done. And those guys were great. The producer was great. He ended up becoming a friend of mine and was super receptive. I don't know if Maddie knows this, but I'm the one, I pointed him at Maddie.
Whoa.
Right? Because these guys all come in and they all,
dude, Crandall.
Everywhere, Crandall.
You're the man, dog. Let's go.
They all think they know, right? Like, we've done this and we've done that, and they get all these guys. But so they came in. I was like, look, you need to talk to Maddie Marshall about doing this. You need to talk to Brad Mon and Patrick Sporer about doing this, right? Like, don't reinvent the wheel. Talk to these guys who filmed this, right? And don't make it up for the first time, because they all say, "Oh, we've shot pool before, and it's a lot the same. We do different things, go in different directions at the same time, or we've shot whatever before, and it's just like that." No, paintball's not like any of those things. Yeah. And most of these guys think they know it all, and they don't need help, and they don't want to talk to people. One of the unique things about Sean was the guy's name, Sean Madison, who produced that show. He was all about it, and he talked to every single person I pointed him at.
Dude, that's awesome.
And hired Maddie on and had him sit with had him do it with the girl and the guy. I helped them spotting. I would tell them, so for the pre and post game interviews, I would tell them, here's basically what happened. Here's who you should go interview. Here's a question you should ask.
Wow. Dude.
And they were open to all that stuff. I mean, and then Sean's idea, they had that great overhead shot.
Yeah.
The crane that they had for that thing, you remember that thing, Tyler?
I do.
It was like 300 feet up above the field. I mean, it was so high.
Yeah, that's
the
crazy.
fact that they had a dude up there with a camera.
Yeah.
I mean, like high. You're scared of heights, Marcelo. I mean, this crane was like
soaring.
I mean,
I'm not going up there.
Yeah. You could barely see there was a guy up in it. That's how high. Wow. But that overhead shot really made it. Anyway, so that show did great.
Yeah, I guess they didn't have drones back then, huh?
No,
Yeah,
no
they
drones
just had
back
the guy in the crane a mile high in the sky.
I mean, it was crazy. That thing was so high.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Awesome.
so and I think that was probably the best show that's been done to date.
Yeah.
So they were talking about doing another one, and everything was good. Simultaneously, Smart Parts,
Mm-hmm.
they felt really strongly about their format, which was the X Ball, and they were working on a time buy to do the Smart Parts Paintball Championships.
Whoa.
And ESPN was being pitched, hey, let's do another one of these shows. And from what I heard, and I talked to Adam Gard, so we were sponsored by Smart Parts at the time.
Mm.
And I talked to Adam, and because I was hearing, hey, they're trying to work on this time buy with ESPN, and it's like, it's making this thing hard because ESPN doesn't want to have two paintball shows. And if one of them's going to pay them for airtime,
Yeah.
they want to, they want to go with that. And I was like, Adam, please just back off or do it on another network or whatever. And, in his defense, the Gardeners felt really good about their format. They were putting their own money up to get it out there and show it off. And so it's hard to knock them for that, right? In fact, you can't knock them for that.
Mm-hmm.
They spent, I think almost $1 million on that show, right? Yeah. $750,000 is the number I had in my head.
Yeah.
Why did it fail?
Why did their show fail?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that it failed, but the time buy isn't necessarily sustainable.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So,
would it have been sustainable for ESPN to continue doing it? You think?
Well,
like if it's not sustainable, right?
Is it content or is it revenue?
That's right. Yeah.
And that's I think what killed the Miami MPPL one.
Mm.
They were pitching it as content, right? That was the deal. That's what they were working on. Then they were offered a similar product as revenue. They would rather do the revenue than the content.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, I right. But if the Smart Parts show wasn't sustainable, what's to say that the ESPN would have been sustainable? Wouldn't sustainability rely on the amount of eyes that are on the show because that's how the TV station gets paid from advertisements? Yeah.
So the ESPN MPPL one, they had a sponsor in place. They had, it was just, so networks do different things with their deals, right? Like they have deals with content providers. So like I know a guy who does, or at least he did, I haven't talked to him in a few years, but he did BMX and like action sports event. And he has a content deal where Fox Sports gives him whatever, 100 hours a year for his shows. And he can basically put whatever he wants on. Wow. And that's content for them, right?
Yeah.
And then they also do time buys, right? So you can buy a time slot and put whatever you want on, and that's just straight revenue for them. Yeah. So the networks have different ways of looking at things and do it different ways. And they had two different shows, two different ways, and because they had the revenue, they weren't necessarily interested in the one that they had to do some work on and sell some time slots on. They would rather have just the whole thing as a time buy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
So, and I look.
So, and then don't the Gardeners, wouldn't Smart Parts get kickback from advertisement dollars?
No, they bought the whole thing. So they had the whole, when you do a time buy, you're typically doing the whole half-hour time slot or the whole hour.
So you regulate the commercials that are played in that time?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I thought that was all regulated by the network.
No, typically not. Sometimes they have some they have to play, but usually on a time buy, it's a straight time buy.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And selling advertising, not that easy and not that great. So if they can get the whole thing, that's what they want to get. And obviously the paintball industry is hard to get to support any kind of.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. We had ESPN willing to just.
Yeah, I mean, it looked that way, right? The first one went well. They were talking about a second one. I was involved with both the MPPL. I knew the producer of the show.
Yeah.
GLR, actually, the company that produced it, was also Intel's marketing company.
Oh,
so,
wow.
and Smart Parts. So I had a lot of information from a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And,
man. Oh,
it felt like it was really, really close. And look, is that what killed it? Who knows? It might have never happened the other way. Right. I can't say for sure, but I can say for sure that was a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Because that got brought up to me as a thing.
It seems like in paintball, we always get really close and then we cannibalize ourselves, to be honest. I've been, this next year is going to be my 15th pro season.
Well, it's because everybody knows there's a tremendous amount of value. That's the thing.
We're pot of gold at the end of the tunnel. We just got to get there first.
We just got to eat each other alive first.
No, I agree with you. It's unfortunate. Paintball is as unified now as it's ever been.
Yeah.
But even so, there's plenty of people who don't want anything to do with something if, so-and-so is involved or such and such company's doing it, or they don't trust this or that. So
yeah,
it's,
it could be another couple decades before we move past all that. Who knows?
It's never been, so I don't know why.
I have higher hopes. I personally I'll go down in flames if it's another couple of decades, because I truly have, Tyler, I know you feel the same way, actually. We have a lot of passion for this sport getting on the right track, and
of course,
we're going to do our best to connect everyone. That's actually a big part of this company and this show, is trying to raise the awareness of what we do. Eric, I don't know if you noticed, it's kind of cool. We have a couple people actually that never even knew what paintball was, and they listened to the show, and now they play almost every weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know how they stumbled across it on different platforms, but they message us on social media, and it's like, to me, and I think I could speak on behalf of both of us, that is the coolest thing that we could have done with this show. I love that.
Yeah.
I'd be super stoked on people listening who didn't play paintball and then maybe watch their webcast, or maybe, care,
exactly,
started following it, right? Like, you don't have to play pro football to, I never played football.
Yeah, but
right?
you love it, baby.
Right. Exactly.
I like watching football.
Totally.
Like fantasy football. So I feel like, you can be into the sport, the culture, the games, and the podcast without ever having played paintball.
Right. Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, it's all about that heritage, man, and that's what we're so grateful to just have you on the show, have all these amazing people on the show, and share the heritage of the game, all these cool insights as well. We just learned so much about every individual and about different facets of life as well when we talk to everybody. You just downloaded me with a bunch of cool things that I never knew about, the TV industry and a multitude of other things as well. But it's a blessing, man. We're very grateful for these opportunities to chat with everyone. Yeah,
absolutely, Cran.
So what do paintball guns look like in 5 years, Cran? I'm so curious about, where do you think paintball guns are going to head 5-10 years ahead from now? What do you think is going to happen?
So our concept for a future paintball gun is solar powered.
Solar. Yeah.
No air tank.
Dude.
So it's electrically powered to shoot the paintball.
Whoa.
You don't need a loader. The paintball is actually created by the gun.
There we go.
Let me pull this up. I have a spreadsheet with this information.
Dude, now we're talking. This is what I'm talking about, baby.
My dad.
I should be talking about this.
Yeah, really.
My solar gun that makes paintballs inside guns just before you shoot. That is one of our things on gun ideas.
Dude, that's genius.
So, I think that's what we're hoping to happen.
My dad had a cousin that worked at NASA, and I remember 15 years ago, he started telling me this, longer than 15 years ago, but he had spoken with him about paintball. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know this, Crandall, but my dad actually bought white box paint from Great American, from Richard, and back in the day, and put his own labels on it and was selling it. They had a deal worked out. It was called Direct Hit Paintball. Might revise that one day, or
definitely bring it. Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah, that's amazing. Damn it, we said it on the show.
I know it's gone. You better get that now.
But his cousin at NASA was saying back then, he's like, I can make that gun shoot without an air tank. It's very easy. It'd be an easy thing to do. And for so long, I said, Dad, your cousin's full of shit. Like, I don't think that technology can be done. I don't know how he's going to do that. So if you guys come out with it,
I mean, so in all seriousness, there were some concept guns, 10 plus years ago that used, those nail guns that use like a little propane tank or something, and an explosion to do it. So they were working on concepts for that.
Guns, I think they're called.
Yeah. And then I've heard some talk about some sort of like electromagnetic paintball gun. So it's an electromagnet that's propelling it instead of air. And apparently there's, at least theoretically, people have a concept for how that could work. I haven't pursued it, but I've heard rumblings.
Interesting. That sounds awesome.
I don't think in 5 years, I don't think it's changing much.
Yeah.
Because like you need a tank on your shoulder. What would you do?
Well, you would just have a stock.
Don't you remember T-Socks?
Yeah.
You put a stock. I mean, I figured that, but that's lame. I want my tank. I like my tank.
Yeah, don't tell Gorilla.
To not have to fill it up, not have to run out of air. That would actually be fantastic. Yeah,
don't tell Gorilla Air about this, or
yeah.
All these poor tank companies. Oh man. There's definitely an evolutionary shift that's going to happen with the paintball marker, with the way that it all happens. I mean, it's just the way things go, right? Maybe it's not in 5 years, maybe it's in 10 years, 15 years, but I guarantee you it will happen. It will.
There will be a major shift. Absolutely. It's just, you're right, Ty. It's the way of technology.
That's the way it goes. Yeah. And Eric, you'll be on the forefront of it, brother. We'll be right there.
Like you are with everything else.
That's
right? I just learned that Eric you started paintball too, didn't you? You were back in the woods with Bob. What's his name? Gurney. I'm so sorry. Guernsey.
Not that long.
Yeah.
You were back there. You must have been. You were pointing fingers in the woods saying, "Hey, go shoot some cattle."
No, not me. I wasn't at that paintball game, but yeah, I think I figured out it's been in that 30-year neighborhood.
Dude, that's
so
amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing. And you're 43?
3, yeah.
43 years old, bro.
Dude, you're 43. You have been playing pro for 30 years.
I know. That's gonna be crazy. Oh boy. Yeah, seriously.
I'm just saying that's when I picked up a paintball gun.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy to think about it that way. That's wild. Yeah, and that's we're gonna be arriving here shortly. It's not
12, Tyler?
13 is when I turned pro. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be right there. That's crazy, man. Wow.
Yeah, you were playing pro when I was fucking messing around with a PGP and counting my friend's shots. It's like, okay, he's at 10. He's got to go reload. Hey, I can go get him.
You had the advantage though, because you had the quick reload. Boom.
Yeah. That PGP had a lot of threads on the CO2, the little 12 gram thing too. So it took longer to change. And
dude,
want to change a little early, because otherwise you could count the shots and know he got to 20 shots, even if he's either changing or he's not changing.
Yeah,
it's probably won't break when it hits me, and then you could just go bunker him.
There we go, dude. Thinking, always innovating. I love it, man.
I do love that. That's
it's a whole excited to see. It's super exciting.
It is. I think that it has a space too, because there's a certain tactical way to play those situations, and you got to think it through and make the right decisions as well.
Yeah, the guys used to play Civil War ball at the field. I remember when I had the field, and they'd be hanging out waiting for a ride home, or at the end of the day. So it was no hopper, so you had to hand feed with a pump gun.
Yeah,
and they called it Civil War ball.
That's awesome.
They go play that way. That's a pretty fun way to play too.
We're bringing it back. Civil War is back. We're doing it.
We've come a long way. I'm thinking more about this solar powered gun. Doesn't have a tank. Doesn't have a loader. That is John Wick.
It created paintball.
We're out there John Wicking, dude.
Yeah.
Would the barrels be shorter too? Would we eliminate the 14-inch? What do you think about the barrels? You guys obviously make the best barrel in the game. The AccuLock system I love mine. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
But is 14? Is that really the best size, or is that just
what? I played with a 10-inch forever.
Me too. Yeah. When I was younger, yeah.
Yeah, I played with the 12-inch. The 12 was always my favorite thing. But
yeah,
what's the for the listeners? Why don't you explain the difference between a 10 all the way up to like a 16, which was kind of the longest that people really used on a normal basis?
Honestly, I don't think there is much.
Yeah, it's like a little bit longer trajectory, maybe, or
I feel like it's a little bit quieter. A longer barrel is typically a little bit quieter because you have more venting before it comes out.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I don't think there's a ton of difference. I think your accuracy has happened. Your velocity and accuracy has all happened. I mean, with airball, I feel like a longer barrel sort of has an advantage about pushing in the bunker and
yeah.
shooting. But
Yeah, because whenever I core sample, I just take the front of my barrel off, and then I'm shooting just fine. It just is really loud. Yeah,
yeah, we actually use that as a selling point now with the barrel.
Yeah,
Because there's not that many guns you can do that with.
that's right. Yeah,
So we told people that, and someone at World Cup came back and they're like, "Yeah, I took a core sample and I just took the
And-
took the tip off."
and
I
went
was
to
like, "Yeah,
work.
Tyler does that at almost every event."
Yeah, at least once an event, I'm taking the tip off for sure and going to work. I'm still working hard too. I got that thing humming with the half barrel.
That's something we've talked about on the show. Shit happens in games. You got to be able to figure it out. You got to be able to make your stuff work. Shit happens.
That's it, dude. Yeah.
Let's see, Ty. You got anything else for our man?
I need the craziest legendary dynasty story of all talk that you can tell on camera, that you won't be in too much trouble for.
You gotta start me on something, because there's gonna be a gazillion stories, and that's not the way my brain works. So
Help me out, my fellow.
Sort of
craziest dynasty story. Okay, so let's go after a championship celebration.
Yeah.
What's like the most outlandish? Because you guys were making money back in the day.
Yeah.
You guys were getting paid with those championships. Like, let's.
That you can tell, of course, right?
Yeah.
What's the rockstar lifestyle like?
What's the craziest after we won?
There's got to be one that was just like, whoa. You guys went to did the whole deal, the party. There's the whole deal. You guys stayed in. You didn't do anything.
My brain's old, bro. It's I have trouble with these things. Usually
they were that good. The parties were that good. He can't talk about it.
I mean, there's definitely some stories I can't talk about that. I'm trying to think of the ones I can which I'm sure they're there. It's just
Well, we'll just chalk it up with Charlie's at the 2020 World Cup.
There you go. Charlie's at the 2020 World Cup.
How about this? What was your favorite win to see Dynasty get?
It's a hard question.
It is a hard question, because there's been a lot of good ones, but some have definitely been more emotional than others.
You can give 3 if you want. Top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the 2020 on your 20th anniversary.
Honestly, it's got to be 2020 on the 20th anniversary.
Damn, dude, I just got the chills. That's tight. We're part of that, man. That's so sick.
That Heat World Cup.
Yeah.
Where 15. That one was big. Just the way it happened, right? Just at the end like that with Kyle and replay, and that was also Eclipse that told us we'd won a tournament 15 years in a row or whatever, so that streak alive. That one was. There were some Huntington Beach ones that were really big too.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you which years, but I feel like some of those were pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'll never forget.
I know you're part of 2 of those, man. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm on a cloud. This has won a lot. Yeah. Eric Crandall, some of the best Tyler and I were part of.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Those are I can remember. Shit.
It's true.
Dude, the Huntington Beach ones, I'll never forget those. I actually sat next to Oliver's mom, and I can't remember who else. Oh, and Ryan's mom. They were both together, and I was hanging out with them when you guys were winning. It was crazy. And I was just like a little grom,
Yeah, all the moms used to come to those things. And one of the crazy things about Huntington Beach was the crowds.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There were tons of people down there, but the grandstands were huge, and you had thousands of people sitting there watching you. And so, you made moves like, you get that a little bit, but it's more of like, to a roar you feel at a baseball game or a football game. That that energy was crazy, right? Like it really added to the whole experience.
It was insane. The roars at that, like at those Huntington beaches, were loud. And yeah, like you said, when people made a move, when big things happened, it was like, you know, people were going crazy.
And that energy really is, I'm not. Crowd energy is an interesting thing, right? Like you don't get exposed to it that much, but that Huntington Beach. I mean, I remember totally going off topic, but this is a buddy of mine managed corn for a long time. And we did a bunch of stuff with Family Values tour where we went out and set up a paintball field on this thing, and Corn was headlining that tour. And I remember one of the shows I went to with him, I think it was up here at Shoreline, and we were watching from the side of the stage and just staring out at the 15, 20,000 people who just, I mean, Korn's not my favorite band, but their fans are so into them, and they love it. They love that. They're just so into it. And watching that sea of people and just the energy, I mean, it's really it's a crazy thing.
It is. It's very crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah. And you just, when you're up there, you feel that energy from them.
Yeah.
And, having never been a performer like that, it's one of the only chances I've got to really share that. And then, being around, again, Huntington Beach or even World Cup, right? There's however many hundreds of people in the fan, when we won, the crowd goes crazy, and you feed off that. It's just a different level as the crowd size goes up. I mean, it's pretty unique, and you really feel it and feed off it. So I think some of those Huntington Beach wins would probably be
I mean, imagine these guys in the Super Bowls or these huge soccer, events, and like, oh my God, being down in that grass on those fields when that's going on, you're just living. You're living. You know what I mean?
It's a dream, dude.
Oh man, you're every cell in your body is reverberating. You're just alive. You're thriving.
We've talked about this kind of, we would need microphones in our goggles, because how you wouldn't be able to communicate if the sport grew, right? We got to ask him about the God question real quick. Just a couple more questions for you, Crandall. But yeah, like if there was that many people, communication's such a big part of paintball, and it's so different than other sports where it's not, you don't only communicate when you're in the huddle. How would you do that? We need microphones in the goggles.
Something, yeah.
No, I don't think. I mean, well, look, you never know at what point it gets to, but Huntington Beach, which I think is probably the most attended paintball tournaments ever.
I'm talking about like if there's like 50,000 people, or 30,000 people.
If you've been to an NBA game, those guys communicate on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's different. They're closer.
Right.
Could you allow microphones? Sure, you could. But I think also some of it is, it's home team advantage, it's etiquette. I mean, Huntington Beach, the paintball etiquette is, you cheer, but it isn't a constant cheering. So for the most part, you can talk and communicate. And I think that
last year World Cup finals was the loudest, craziest thing that I've ever witnessed. I was up in the Go Sports booth. You could not hear a single thing the entire match. It was crazy. It was the first time that I thought about it. Like, the crowd is making a difference in this game. That's why the score was like 7-6 or something. It was super high. Russians and Heat, and they were just running at each other. It was just literally chaos, because there was no teamwork. That you couldn't hear anything. It was the craziest event that I've ever seen as far as like fan participation. And so it made me think like that would be really difficult. Granted, they're not set up to hold that many fans, right? The fans are like right on top of you on the field, where in the NBA, even the closest fans are further back and up higher. On a football field, they're
right there. In the NBA, you're sitting right behind the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really close. No, I mean, you're closer when you're communicating.
But as like the major crowds, you're up much higher, right? Like, there's some fans that are kind of close there, but it tears up pretty quick, which I think allows the sound to travel in different directions. But yeah, I don't know. Thought of that. And I guess my last question, sorry, Ty, I just want to ask about the God thing. We really feel like we need to get rid of the term God bunker. Tyler and I, sorry for the listeners that have heard this story 10 times, but we were in 7-Eleven at the practice for World Cup. We are just in line getting water, some different, stuff. And Tyler was like, I think the god's really shootable on this field. And I was like, no, you can't say that, bro. Can't say that, dude. That's not good.
Yeah,
and
then we were like, we had an aha moment, like, wow, we can't, our verbiage is a little bit off here. And then just imagine like an industry guy or somebody, and we're saying all this crazy stuff, and he's like, what are these guys talking about? So I don't know.
We're on the field. We're like, kill the god, kill the China. You know, these are codes that we have for our bunkers. That's probably not okay.
No, it's probably not.
Yeah. No, I think we've talked about that a few times about use some of our codes in conjunction, and it would sound bad if you
yes
exactly. Yes,
I'm not gonna say it right now, but
and the reason that we have these codes is because they carry very well. Like these words that we've chosen, they carry well, and we're able to say them with dominance.
Do you want to hear? Do you know where the God bunker came from?
Please.
Yes, we do. It's in the woods. It was always the 50-yard line bunker in the woods. That was this massive bunker, right?
It wasn't that massive. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it was at Mare Island. It was on Field 2 at Mare Island, and that was actually
nice.
That was one of the moves I feel pretty proud of for doing was being able to take the back side of that God bunker off the break.
Whoa, crazy. Dude, so you're responsible for the bunker that we're trying to get rid of.
Yes, I had the field. I think Brad probably brought that name with him, and I think Brad's going to have an issue with getting rid of it.
Dude, we found the source, Marcelo. We found
the source. This is why Ryan was like, you guys need to get Crandall on. You don't understand. You guys really need to get Crandall on. I was like, dude, I know we do. We really do. Yeah. But I didn't realize how much we really needed you.
Yeah.
That's where the God bunker came from. That Field 2. It was like, I mean, it wasn't just a U-shaped bunker. I think Brad
Did you invent the dye gun?
Did you?
I don't know now. I think you invented everything in paintball. Yeah. I'm
pretty sure Brad came up with the name God Bunker, and he named that bunker the God Bunker.
Dude, we cannot wait.
But it's because you took the outside of it?
Whoa.
Backside of it. Yeah, took it from the wrong side, right? Like you're supposed to play it from this one side, but you can. I figured out. I thought I could make it from the other side, and I did.
Nice.
Wow. I love that.
So it's your best bunker on the field that you're taking it and bunkering the guy out.
Dude, there we go. See, Crand, you know what you're doing out there, dude.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing.
You got to look at the field with open eyes and say, what can I make here? Forget what everyone knows what, like, oh, we should go here, here, and here. You got to walk the field and go, what could I make here? Right? Yeah. Like, especially with them not shooting for it. Because you can't look at it going, oh, well, if this guy's looking right here, he's going to shoot me. You got to look at what are they realistically going to be doing? Throw some fucking balls out there. Quit being pussies.
There we go, dude. Shut it down. It's a wrap.
I don't know. That's literally been with the team. I think since the very beginning.
Dude,
it's with most teams. Yeah. It's with most teams. We're talking about totally. But we're talking about making it something to where the league like says you can't use those terms, you know, because if we have an outside industry guy come to an event and they're hearing the players communicating, kill the god, kill this, they might just turn right around, get in their car and go home.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we got way bigger problems than that.
I agree with
social
you,
media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Look, social media, dude. You get one clip online, and all it takes is someone could be really interested in that clip, and then they see that, and they say, "Nope, that's a hard no. That's another 10 years that paintball doesn't get seen."
But I like what you're saying, Crandall. You're right. We do have bigger hurdles to climb than that. But on the flip side,
that's an easy hurdle.
I know I'm already at such a disadvantage playing paintball because there's so many, connotations that go along with what I do as a profession, that if I can give myself the best possible light, I should do that and mitigate any downside that I could cause myself. So that's the whole reason that we were like, okay, maybe after we said that.
It's the worst idea I've ever heard. It's not. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be there. I'm just saying you're going to have to take it up with Brad. I think he might be.
Okay.
Next thing you're going to do is do away with.
We need.
Do we still use the Toby ever?
No.
Toby?
No, we got rid of Toby.
Yeah, poor little Toby.
We got rid of Toby.
That was Davy's dog.
Oh no, not Toby. Damn.
No.
Oh man. Dude,
Guys,
I love it.
It's been over 3 hours. This has been
Has
such
it
a good
really?
one, Crandall. Yeah, we're at 3 hours and
Talk about
7 minutes, baby.
we're talking about releasing field layouts, thankfully.
Jeez.
We didn't even get into that. That just means you're going to have to come on for a
Yeah,
second time.
absolutely.
But just, really quick, obviously we need to release field layouts. Your idea to not release them is ludicrous. It's bad for the field owners. I'm not going to give you time to respond. We'll revisit it next time. You know how this
I'm okay with you being scared. You're scared of heights. You're scared of not having a field layout. You're scared to play in the woods. Totally understandable.
It's so delusional, dude.
Are you scared to play that field to play without a field layout?
I'll go blindfolded, baby. Let's go.
Right.
I'll go blindfolded. I'm thinking of the industry. We've talked about this. Thinking of the industry, I think it does two things. Field layouts allow better players to create even more separation from other people that get to practice field, and they don't know what they're looking for. Have you seen how some of these pro teams practice? They do not know what they're doing. You let good players practice on a field, they separate. That's what they do. You give a field, oh, Tyler, you don't agree?
No, it's just I love where we're headed here. This is good. Let's keep it rolling.
We need people to be able to have fields to practice on too, so field owners can get that excitement going the weeks leading up to events. Field owners that do cater somewhat to tournament paintball players probably would not do that anymore.
Do you think that players wouldn't show up to play if they didn't have a layout?
I believe there would absolutely be less players that would show up to play. Yes, 100%. Teams that like maybe are on the bubble of how well they're going to do or can't afford it, I don't think they would go practice if there wasn't a layout because they don't think they're going to be at as much of a disadvantage. I could be wrong with that, but I really do think so. The field owners know what they can rely on in those weeks leading up. And this is just coming straight from the field owners that I have talked to across the world, that those weekends are really valuable to them. So
interesting.
I guess that's a big point. But
so I agree with you that the fields who cater to the tournament player, those 2 weekends leading up are big weekends for them, and they would be hurt at least on those 2 weekends, at least some. Okay, how much? I mean, I still think teams are going to practice for paintball, right? Like before there were ever field layouts, you would still go practice. I mean, at Mare Island Paintball in the 90s, you would be going to play a paintball tournament in Tennessee, and you would come out to the field and practice at Mare Island because playing paintball makes you better at paintball. So I still think teams are going to practice. Are they going to practice as much and shoot as much paint? I don't think so. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if they have more money, maybe they're playing more, they'd be investing less in practice because they don't need to go play, 30 points to get ready for the layout so they know it well enough. They can go play paintball and keep their skills, and maybe they'll play more. Maybe they'll play more events. So yes, they would spend less money with that field the 2 weekends leading up, but their paintball spend might stay the same.
All I'm saying is that I really believe that paintball fields are the lifeblood of our sport. We need paintball fields to be able to provide good experiences for new players in order to capture them long term. So I'm always looking at how to boost them. I guess you could make the argument too that if there is not a field layout release, maybe teams will play more at that field over the long run, right? Like maybe one of those 2 weekends they can't make, so they only end up practicing one weekend. But if there's not a layout, they're like, oh, well, we can go the 3rd weekend before instead of the 2nd weekend. You can make that argument for sure.
And then the other thing, and look, I agree with you that the fields who cater to the tournament player, which I think is a minority of field, but still important, are going to sell less paint and have
for sure
somewhat fewer players. I don't think a ton fewer players. I still think most teams are going to practice leading up to the event. But might have fewer players, shorter periods of time, so I think they're going to be hurt some. I don't think it's going to be huge, but I think it's going to be some. I think it will hurt the paint sales in those weekends because you don't need to shoot as much paint to practice and be good at paintball as you do to learn the layout.
For sure. Like all those shots that we shoot off the break, all the little intricate details. Yeah, definitely.
Right. But that's also what makes the sport professional. You look at every other sport, basketball, they have the layout that they're going to play on. I understand that it doesn't change. Hold on, way different sport, but in the same sense, that's when you look at the best of any professional athlete, like Kobe Bryant, for example, he knows he can go to the free throw line and he can shoot 1,000 shots in one day.
He can play the same layout every event.
I've actually thought about that before. I don't think so. I think we have the perfect balance. I
Well,
love that we
should be like every other sport. Let's just have one layout that we play every event. Everyone plays
no.
it that way.
No,
That'd
I'll,
be
ex-
fun.
I'll explain. Trust me, I've answered this question because I've asked myself this question. You think I'm not a deep person? What the hell?
No,
Listen. So listen, I think we have the perfect balance. I think our sport's very unique in that we get a different layout. We get a different puzzle to crack each event. But I love that we get this little microcosm of the way professional athletes can train. So we get 2.5 weeks to where we can hone in and actually really dissect. And the smarter you are at paintball, the better you are at paintball, the quicker you're going to figure out the right things and the wrong things, what shots you need to be working on. You can look at the layout like we were in practice leading up for Cup. Like, it's starting out fast on this side, but it's going to happen over here towards Sunday, the smarter players really do create separation in those practices. And you have those few weeks to treat it like a professional sport. Pro football players, they run routes, they can run the exact route that they're going to do in a game. I understand it's a different sport. I think that gives us an advantage that it's not always the same. I love that our field changes, but I also love that we have that microcosm. Yeah, totally. But
I think it should change even more. I think
more.
Wait, hang on. Let me back it up. So that Miami event that we've all said was great?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No field layout, and they changed it every day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It made for really interesting paintball. And that's the reason they did it, is because when you so you've made the argument for layouts. I'm going to make the argument for no layouts.
Mm-hmm.
I think no layouts. Now field walking is a skill, right? That was a skill I came up learning. And I think field walking is an important part of paintball. It forces you to look at a field and figure out how you're going to play it before you get a chance to play it and learn on the fly.
You do that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's now one of the things you're being tested on in the event.
That's right.
Is your field walking. You can be terrible at field walking and be terrible in the first 2 weeks of practice, but you play it enough, you figure it out. So field walking becomes a skill, and I think the games become more exciting. And that Miami event, I think, is a testament to that, because you can't, and we talked about this a lot, you can't go out there and learn how to not lose as fast, right? A good teams, good players, they're going to come up with good plans off the get, and they're going to be able to make more moves, better moves, because people haven't figured out we always need to have someone watching this. Oh, we can watch this from this. We can watch that from that, and make these defensive game plans to slow people down. So you have bigger moves, more exciting paintball, and field walking becomes a skill. You don't have guys sitting in their bunkers, shooting lanes, and you're going to shoot less paint. You're going to have faster games, more exciting games. It's going to cost you less to practice, less to play the event, and it's going to be more exciting for the spectator. I think as far as paintball as a sport and what makes the most exciting games and what's the most challenge for the players, I think it's that. Now, is it what's best for the fields? Not in the short term. Maybe long run. Like I said, the player having more money maybe means they put the money in on different days. Maybe more people play paintball. Maybe more people stay with paintball because they don't have to commit 3 weeks in a row 5 times a year to play the event. Maybe more people stay with paintball because they don't have to go out and shoot 50 cases a week leading up to the event and then 50 cases at the event. Their paint bill's half because it's a different game. Now, maybe not. I can't guarantee that. I'm just saying there is the potential that in the long run, the fields are actually better off without layouts, but I don't know.
Are you somebody, Crandall, that wants to... Sorry, go ahead, Ty.
I was going to say, damn, you've built a strong case, Crandall. That's what I was going to say.
I'm about to tear it down.
I know.
Aren't you
What is Tyler? What do you think?
Honestly, I don't care. I think that either way is just fine by me. I can go and be just as effective showing up or just as effective as everybody else if we get 2 weeks. I feel like, it's going to be the same kind of ball game. You're all either going to be
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're either going to be a little worse or a little better, and everyone's at the same. But that's my point, Crandall. When you watch sports, do you watch to see the best of the best, or do you watch just to see something that's kind of subpar, but it's the best that is there?
I mean, I think I get where you're going with that. I mean, you're watching the best of the best. You're watching the best of the best. If you're watching the best that's there, you're watching the best that's there. I mean,
yeah.
You said like you're a big reason for you wanting that is bigger moves, more exciting games, that kind of stuff, right? They've already done that. They've done that by adding more bunkers. They've done that by creating these type of fields. Every single event has been 8-7, 6-5. They're high scoring. Moves are being made. They're very fast paced. They fixed that. They've solved that problem. They can still release layouts and have the exciting games.
Do the games typically slow down on Sundays?
Did ours? Look how fast those points were.
Typically slow down on Sundays.
They have not. No, they have not. Go back. No, they have not. Look at the Ironman final with Russian Legion. It was 7-6 in Vegas. The games since Jason Trozen has taken over, you can go back and watch all of the finals games. Yes, typically, if you're looking at the history of the last 15 years, absolutely, Crandall. That's the thing. Like, paintball got super boring. The last 2 years, they solved that problem with adding these big bunkers.
I mean, I will agree that the Vegas layout and this layout were this layout especially, but were both faster.
Yeah. World Cup last year was, like I said, 7-6 Russians in heat.
And I don't want anybody to get me wrong when I say I don't care, because I do care. I care about what's best for the community. So whatever's best for the community is what I would like. But
we need your opinion on that, Tyler.
But when it comes down to playing, like, I can play either way and be just
yeah. Which one do you think is best? Which one do you think is best for paintball, or which one do you think is more
scared of my rebuttal?
I don't know that I have enough context to really have a solid
both ways. You played no layouts before. You've played layouts.
I'm staying out of this.
Oh my goodness.
It's used to.
Tyler is highly scared.
I'm staying out of this.
I would like to dive back into this though. Like, I feel like if your goal is to make games more exciting, they've done that. That's been done.
You don't think the games would go even faster
but why would you even want them to? I know this is a lot of the top pro players' complaints right now are because of the field layouts, and this is 100% true. You could play a team that has no business being in a game with you, but because these fields are so chaotic, they can score points. To me, I as a sports fanatic, I don't like luck I like to remove as much luck as possible. That's how I feel sports. You can create a pinnacle. You have to remove as much luck as possible.
Yeah, I've never been good. So, and I feel like Dynasty needs luck. So I'll take luck all day long. No, obviously you and I disagree on this because we've talked about it off the air for plenty of time, and you refuse to admit that you're wrong. But again, if you want the more technical game where it's two guys shooting at each other in their bunkers and who can do that best, you're right. If you want a guy in a team to show how well they can adapt, how well they can figure it out, how well they can see an open move and take it, the no layout allows for that way more than layouts. And to say that it doesn't, now, again, you don't have to agree with me that no layouts is better, but I have a hard time seeing how you can say that not having a layout that a team has practiced on for 2 straight weekends and then played Friday and Saturday on is not going to play slower than putting them on a layout they've never played before. I mean, I just don't know how you can say that.
I guess my point is, though, how fast do you want these points to go, Crandall? The average point is 1.5 minutes right now. Like that. Like, what do you want? You want 30 seconds?
Yeah,
faster. Because the way that I feel about this is the better players, more time on the layout, they actually come up with more creative moves. And you know that you're getting, like, I don't want to see, the first thing you said about this was, Dynasty can go and walk the field and put together a game plan that another team hasn't set up to stop. So what that means, that translates to, that might not be the best game plan. It's just hasn't been countered yet, And so it's like, I love that we have 2 weeks to really figure it out. It's funny because at World Cup, actually, I thought Dynasty did this better than anyone. At our practices, we realized this field is going to be one down the Dorito side. That's how we practiced it. That's how we played it. We realized that. We got to World Cup, and it was mind-blowing to me that everybody was winning down the snake side. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Everyone's playing down the snake side, and guess what? You have to adapt. We had to attack a little more on the snake side, but then what did we do? We had that upper hand because we knew how to practice that way, and then come finals time, what did we do? We won down the Dorito side. So it played out at kind of exactly how you're saying, but you're getting the best rather than, this like trickle in of luck.
So I don't think it's the best. I think what you're talking about is a more technical game because both teams know the field layout better and they've refined it. I personally, again, and some of this, I'm not going to lie, is when I played paintball, there were no field layouts, right?
Yeah,
you showed up in the woods and you walked the fields, and that was a huge part of the game.
True.
Right?
I love that part of the game.
And I enjoyed that. And I still think that should be part of the game. And I've seen events where they haven't released the field layouts. Plenty of them. The MPPL has done it. That one ESPN show changed the layout every day. I've seen it happen. And so having seen both, right? A 7-man layout where they release the layout and a 7-man layout where they don't release the layout. I mean, I feel like I can say I've seen the difference in the games.
Mm-hmm. Dude, on those fields, I 100% agree with you. It made a huge difference. The PSP fields, I agree. Like teams that had a layout, it got so boring on Sunday. I think you guys won a tournament 3-2, like that's not fun to watch.
There was one of them. Yeah. I was going to say where all of us got in there with 15 pods. Yeah. Only shot one way.
That's not fun, but I feel that they've, they kind of found that happy medium.
Jason does a great job, and the field layouts are better, but it's better paintball the other way.
I appreciate you conceding the argument to me. I really do. It's really, really great. But we're gonna have to continue this on the next show.
Don't worry. We're gonna have a whole show argument back and forth, and you not listening to anything that I'm saying or acknowledging reality, and Tyler not having the balls to stand up for what he believes. I mean, Tyler, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm disappointed in you.
I know, man. I can't hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody, man. I just want to.
You're not going to hurt me. If you disagree with me, you're not going to hurt me.
Well, I just don't want to hurt anyone. So
anyone named Marcelo. I understand. He's a little sensitive.
Look, I don't mind if you're both wrong, not cerebral enough to grasp this concept. I get it. I love you guys either way. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's all love, man. It's all love for paintball. And Crandito, man, you are the man. You're the legend. I'm going with Cran, bro. I'm going with Cran. There we go, Cran.
Thank you,
dude. Let's get
what I will say is it doesn't seem like Crandall's been wrong yet.
Yeah.
And I do always say this. I think almost any of it can work. So hey, let's try it for a season. What's the worst thing that could happen? Right? I just, just kind of, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, dude.
I would rather try it just to show you how bad of an idea it is. Let's do it.
You get to do it at every practice. The first practice of the thing.
Dude, I know. Those practices suck.
This sounds fun. Yeah. It sounds fun.
All right. Well, fun, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, Eric, thank you. Thank you for all the innovations of the game. Thank you for sharing your time and all these amazing stories. We love you, dude. And we can't wait to see you soon, man.
Yep. We'll see you guys Florida, they said, the first event, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. But we're going to see you before then, man. I want you to come to practice. Crandall, you got to come to the first practice. We need to get the team just totally on track and dialed in. 2021 is going to be tough, and we got to really focus up, and we need you there.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
There we go.
You got to walk the field with us before we hit,
Yeah, maybe help you guys fucking grow some balls and make some moves. Get you from hiding back.
Maybe if you're there, dude. Maybe if you're there.
Grand, dude. We love you, man.
All right, see you guys.
All right, later, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Play the Game podcast. We're so grateful for all you guys out there listening. And thank you, Eric Crandall, for coming on the show and sharing all of your insights into Dynasty and all the various other aspects of life. You truly are a well of knowledge, and we're grateful to have you on the show. And thank you for everything you do for the organization and for paintball in general with Field One Paintball and all the innovations that you guys are bringing to the sport. So thank you everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to support the show, you can head over to ptgpodcast.com and support there. We have all the podcasts, all the YouTubes. You can hear a little bit more about our partners as well. There's also a PTG store where you can pick up a hat or a shirt. We have coffee mugs and a bunch of fun stuff in there. And you can also become a patron of the show at ptgpodcast.com. Thank you, special thank you to all of our patrons. You actually get 20% off any of the PTG merchandise when you become a patron, and you get exclusive content that is only for our patrons when you sign up at patreon.com. There's a link at PTG Podcast. So thank you for our patrons out there. We cannot thank you enough for all the love that you show us. And we're very grateful for you and can't wait to keep bringing you that exclusive content and those discounts on the merchandise. If you want to support ConstantPursuit.com, which is who created the website that we use at ptgpodcast.com, you can go to ConstantPursuit.com and show some love for Rusty Glaze. He's the one who created the website for us, and he's doing amazing things for paintball stores and for fields. If you want to take your field or store's website to the next level and give your clients the best possible product, you need to go to ConstantPursuit.com and have Rusty build you a website. He's always there for you if you have things you need to change or any types of personalized aspects of the website that you want to have on there. He's there for you to help you every step of the way. So give him a look, ConstantPursuit.com. If you have any questions that you want us to have on the show, DM us at Play the Game Podcast on Instagram and also PTG Podcast on Facebook. And once again, from the bottom of both Marcelo and myself's heart, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys out there. Be safe and happy holidays.